Chapter 335. Inferior Spirit Root, Basic Spirit Root, Excellent Spirit Root, Superior Spirit Root, Supreme Spirit Root, Supreme Spirit Root, Absolute Spirit Root, Destiny Spirit Root, Law Spirit Root. It could be said that Black Tiger had spent the whole night studying the foundation stealing technique and had completely forgotten to cultivate. After dawn, Black Tiger already knew that he could not escape the pain of his flesh. The rebound of the attack caused Xian Tianji's internal organs to twitch, and he could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Roar! A gust of wind blew, and the figure quickly approached. Looking at his menu, Black Tiger was ecstatic. He did not expect to obtain an opportunity. At that time, Xian Tianji already knew that he had met someone he could not afford to offend. Without hesitation, he chose to kneel and beg for mercy. Level 31 Black Tiger, player. That's right. Foundation stealing technique. Seizing the foundation of others. Item details. The border of the land of Tsangshu and the land of Beiki. However, Qi Ming did not have the intention to kill him. He only curiously asked him why he attacked him. Heaven and earth are my chess pieces, and all living beings are my pawns. I, the evil god, have lost this chess game. I have kept my promise. This technique is the result of my life's work. Today, I have lost to the goddess of Beiki, Bailey. He did not know how long he could continue living like this. Perhaps one day, he would be beaten to death like the other servants. His death would be worthless like a blade of grass. He was not willing to let that happen. I, Bailey, have read it, but I despise this technique. I discard it. He did not expect that his inferior spiritual root would be so wasted during cultivation. 98% of the spiritual energy he absorbed was lost. It was the same as when he cultivated the iron cloak in reality. He had no talent at all. After resting for a while, he took out the virtual helmet from under his bed. In Xian Tianji's opinion, these servants could help him earn soul coins, and they would become his stepping stones on the path to obtaining an opportunity. This made Black Tiger heave a sigh of relief, feeling that he was saved. Of course, he would not let the servants know about this. Every time he needed blood, he would ask the disciples in his sect to beat the servants to death for various reasons. Then, he would take their corpses away to be used as materials for refining blood pills. After continuing forward for a while, a stone tablet appeared in front of him. At the bottom of the stone tablet was a line of text that was obviously written by a different person. Under the layers of insurance, with these 3,000 odd jobs producing a steady stream of soul coins for him, Xian Tianji felt that his cultivation path could be completely worry-free. After figuring out how to grow, the Black Tiger fell into deep thought again. Only after coming into contact with him did Xian Tianji realize how promising the path of the 7 nameless fingers was. Cultivation technique effect can be used on cultivators in the game. There is a chance to seize the target's cultivation spiritual root, foundation, and transform it to nourish oneself. The higher the level of the spiritual root, the faster the cultivation. After all, the blood of a cultivator was naturally not comparable to that of an ordinary odd job worker. This was something he didn't even dare to think about. At this moment, Black Tiger was surprised to find that there were spots of starlight around him. They were drawing a strange trajectory in the air and slowly seeping into his body. Qi Ming chose to reject Xian Tianji, who was crying his heart out with snot and tears all over his face. However, he pointed out a bright path for Xian Tianji, and that was battle online. Wait a minute. Hiss. Roar. However, it was obvious that Xian Tianji had overestimated himself. The amiable-looking cultivator who called himself Qi Ming was not at the same level as him at all. This incident really annoyed him. Although he didn't know which odd job worker did it, Xian Tianji still killed 50 odd job workers on the spot, using cruel means to establish his authority. He also told all odd job workers that if there was a next time, no matter who did it, he would kill 500 people at random. If there were more, he would kill 1,000 people. Attribute enhancement. 1 level, 0%, 20 points of enhancement to all attributes. Tusk Tiger, level 59 elite. There were already a few odd job workers who were beaten to death by the Black Jail sect disciples because they couldn't complete the amount of soul coins they had to hand in every day. Even so, if they couldn't get the required amount of soul coins every day, they would end up in an extremely miserable state. This thought persisted for decades. Thinking of this, Black Tiger was excited and began to relax his body and mind with the mentality of trying it out. The price of death was a 3-hour cooldown for resurrection. This was just waiting for 3 hours for other players, but for Black Tiger, it was very likely to cost him his life because time was too precious to him. Kill, kill, kill. The next day, the sky was just beginning to brighten. For more than half a month, Black Tiger had been training here every day to earn soul coins. He kept going deeper and deeper, and unknowingly, he had arrived at the end of the Ghost Mountains. The trajectory of skills in the game could actually be simulated in reality. Leveling up in the game could experience the feeling of advancing in strength in advance. There was also knowledge of Elixir Atlas and refining weapons in the game. At this time, Xian Tianji thought of the 3,000 odd job workers that he kept in captivity. During his training in the mortal world, Xian Tianji coincidentally met a cultivator when he was strolling in the park one day. The so-called blood food did not refer to using these odd job workers as food, but refining them together with spirit herbs into a kind of blood pill that could increase cultivation. Although he was training in the mortal world, Xian Tianji did not have so much money to buy virtual equipment. He spent a month of swindling, robbing, and using all sorts of despicable means to save up enough money to buy a virtual helmet. The pit was not big, only about 3 meters deep, and it was filled with withered leaves. Through the light from the outside, Black Tiger found a black stone tablet inserted into the ground at an angle in the corner of the pit. At that time, Xian Tianji had launched a sneak attack. However, when his attack was about to hit Qi Ming, a huge, evil spirit suddenly appeared in his mind. Its shrill scream scared Xian Tianji so much that he froze on the spot. After that, Xian Tianji did not stop. He transported this batch of virtual helmets that he had painstakingly obtained back to Black Prison Village in the Emperor Mausoleum Mountains in batches. Thinking of this, Black Tiger frowned slightly. That was because the abundant spiritual energy in the game could not improve his skills. With such a small amount of spiritual energy in reality, he felt that he might not be able to reach 100% even if he cultivated for the rest of his life. At this time, Black Tiger suddenly thought of the God-tier skills that he had learned last night. However, he immediately sighed in his heart. After all, this was just a game. Even the God-tier skills were fake and did not exist. A wave of heat accompanied by a pungent wind hit him. Black Tiger, who was running, shivered and almost fell to the ground. Keeping the handymen in captivity was the second reason. In Xian Tianji's eyes, handymen were not only working animals, but they were also food for the disciples of his sect. However, he was afraid that the saber-toothed tiger was still waiting for him up there, so he did not plan to leave immediately. Instead, he decided to stay for a while before leaving. Sure enough, it was all fake. Roar! The distance between the two sides was getting closer. Just when he was about to be caught up, Black Tiger missed a step and his body suddenly fell into the dark cave that was covered by withered leaves. The reason why the Black Prison sect could survive until today in the Age of Chaos was not because of their foundation, but because of their ruthlessness. They were ruthless and unscrupulous for their own interests. After walking forward for about half an hour, Black Tiger, who did not find any monsters, was about to turn back in disappointment. However, he suddenly saw a figure jumping out of the bushes not far away. Black Tiger was familiar with the land of Tsangshu after playing the game for more than half a month. He knew that it was the area where the European server players were active. Game notification. Cultivating. Due to the inferior spiritual root, only 2% of the absorbed spiritual energy can be absorbed. It would be great if only I could cultivate. Black Tiger suddenly remembered that it was not that he did not have a chance. He had learned the great technique of stealing foundation, which allowed him to steal other people's foundation to increase the level of his own spiritual root and speed up the progress of his cultivation. As long as the quality of his spiritual root was improved, there was still hope for everything. Black Tiger could not help but clench his fists. The feeling of losing an opportunity when it came made him very unwilling. He did not know what material the black stone tablet was made of, but it was covered with mottled blood stains. As he stared at it carefully, Black Tiger's face suddenly turned pale because he felt as if there were countless voices roaring in his ears. However, there was a big problem before that, and that was the lack of soul coins. Spiritual Root, Special Inferior, 23 out of 100. From Xian Tianji's point of view, he should be proud to continue cultivating in this age of chaos. The life and death of mortals were not important at all. Then, Black Tiger sat down on the ground and pressed the cultivation button next to the technique. Great Technique of Stealing Foundation, Godly Level Technique, Volume 1. Naturally, Black Tiger, who had been excited for the whole night after obtaining the Godly Level Technique, was also included. Technique Progress, 1 level 0%, Cultivation Level Increase. The higher the level of the technique, the stronger the ability. In fact, it had been more than half a month. Every day, he received a large amount of soul coins as tribute from the handyman. His days in the game were finally no longer short of money, and he had the ability to purchase many high-level items in the store. However, what surprised Black Tiger was why there were only such small spiritual energy spots in the air, unlike in the game where it was full of spiritual energy. At that time, Xian Tianji had the intention to kill after sensing the fluctuation of spiritual energy in the cultivator's body. He wanted to capture him and bring him back to the Black Prison sect to refine him into a blood meal to help him break through the realm. At this time, Black Tiger was extremely excited. What did it mean to be able to cultivate? It meant that he had the opportunity to resist the Black Prison sect. After he was far away, the hysterical roars suddenly dissipated, and Black Tiger finally breathed a sigh of relief. Black Tiger, who was curious, took 2 steps closer and began to check on the stone tablet. Compared to their previous lives, the handymen's lives were much richer since they had the virtual reality helmet and the game battle online. Introduction of Cultivation Foundation. The cultivator's talent is divided into 9 grades from low to high. From Black Tiger's point of view, if the saber-toothed tiger really caught up with him, he might really die. It was not a simple resurrection cooldown of 3 hours. How could he not panic? Bringing his disciples to avoid the secular world was one of the reasons, because they could not compete with a powerful country, and their actions were absolutely not tolerated by the country. At this moment, a game notification appeared. While escaping, the saber-toothed tiger was getting closer and closer. Black Tiger waved his staff and summoned several skeleton soldiers to stop it, while he continued to run with a red face. Black Tiger was stunned when he saw the information on the stone tablet. He did not expect that he was so close to the land of Sangshu. Tablet of Suppression. Black Tiger remembered the trajectory of the first level of the art of seizing foundation very clearly. He began to imagine the process of absorbing spiritual energy into his body. But whose foundation should I seize? Xian Tianji, who once boasted that he was the strongest cultivator, encountered the biggest setback of his life because of that cultivator. In order to continue in the age of Dharma ending, Xian Tianji set 2 rules in the Black Prison sect. In this age of Dharma ending, where spiritual energy was exhausted, although the path of cultivation was feasible, it had become extremely difficult and had long lost its former glory. But even in such an era, there were still cultivators, and Xian Tianji was one of them. His identity was even more extraordinary, as he was the sect master of the Black Prison sect. Fortunately, Xian Tianji reacted quickly and activated the Black Prison sect's cloud and mist formation, completely hiding the sect and the village, thus avoiding the crisis. These skeleton soldiers only stopped the saber-toothed tiger for a moment before they were torn apart, and the saber-toothed tiger stared at him again. As long as he could live, in Xian Tianji's eyes, human blood was much better than those beasts. So this was the main reason why he kept the servants in captivity. Game notification. Obtain an opportunity. Do you want to start comprehending the skills recorded on the stone tablet? When his gaze swept over the stone tablet again, Black Tiger became a little vigilant. Dealing Mountain Range, the main peak. This time, Qi Ming did not dodge. He still smiled amiably and took the hit head-on. Not only did he not move an inch, but the black light that suddenly appeared on the surface of his body sent Xian Tianji flying. On the other hand, the disciples of the various sects left with smiles on their faces. They didn't care about their lives at all. Half an hour later, looking at the still 0% progress, Black Tiger gave up cultivation in frustration. He only hoped that he could live now. As long as he was alive, it would be fine. But the reality was cruel. He was just an ordinary person. How could he fight against cultivators? So he began to scan the pit. Game notification. Because you have obtained a special skill, cultivation growth mode is activated. Disappointed, Black Tiger was about to get up, but he suddenly found that there seemed to be a tiny spiritual energy that was almost invisible to the naked eye floating in the air. However, a few months ago, because he could not break through the realm, Xian Tianji chose to leave the mountain to gain experience and came to the big city outside. Xian Tianji had always thought that he should be the top cultivator in this degenerate age. Not even one of them, but the strongest. Xian Tianji, who came back to his senses, was surprised, but he gritted his teeth and attacked again. After thinking about it, Black Tiger continued to walk forward while searching for prey. He wanted to see if there would be more wild monsters over there. If he could not find them, he would return immediately. At this time, the text on the stone tablet began to distort under the analysis ability, turning into words that Black Tiger could read. This beating lasted for more than 10 minutes. Every handyman who was punished was beaten until their flesh was torn and they were lying on the ground, dying. However, there was a problem during this period. It was unknown which handyman asked for help from the outside world through the network. At this time, in the wooden house next to the fourth spiritual field in Black Prison Village, Black Tiger, who had done a tiring day, was lying on the bed exhausted. Can I really cultivate? At this moment, Black Tiger's eyes widened. Thinking of this, Black Tiger's eyes flashed with hostility. Then he looked at the other handymen who were also lying on the ground. At this time, Black Tiger was in the Ghost Mountains. As the handymen dispersed, only Black Tiger and the others who were still lying on the ground were left. Black Tiger suddenly remembered why the Black Prison sect valued this game so much. This was completely inconsistent with the Black Prison sect style of doing things, unless there was something strange in this game. In the game, Xian Tianji was just an ordinary player. The channels to obtain soul coins were too few, and it was not enough for his own use. This became his biggest worry. At this time, Black Tiger was only level 31. He could not fight against a level 59 elite monster at all. However, to be on the safe side, Xian Tianji ordered the disciples in the sect to record the IDs of all the handymen on the battle official forum. In the future, if there was a problem in the forum, they could directly find the handyman who dared to play tricks in the dark. Looking at the translated words, Black Tiger was stunned because he realized that he could not understand it at all. Click. It was not an exaggeration to say that the Black Prison sect's actions were called a devil cult, and Xian Tianji had never avoided this. The sudden appearance of the game notification stunned Black Tiger for a few seconds. How could Black Tiger not know what an opportunity represented? He then clicked confirm with a face full of ecstasy. All the handymen were gathered in front of the mountain gate. A few ferocious sect disciples began to point out the handymen who did not pay the required amount of soul coins last night. Then, they began to whip them with black leather whips. After understanding that the skills learned by this unfathomable cultivator came from a game called Battle Online, Xian Tianji also began to try the game without any hesitation. From now on, with 3,000 handymen in captivity to earn soul coins for him, Xian Tianji felt that perhaps he would not have to worry about not having enough soul coins anymore. Seeing Black Tiger fall into the pit, the Fang Tiger did not give up. Instead, it wanted to jump into the pit, but because its body was too big, it could not get into the pit at all. Black Tiger gritted his teeth and roared in his heart. Smack! Smack! The sound of whipping was accompanied by shrill screams, causing the handymen below to tremble. Black Tiger suppressed the anger in his heart and followed the screams. Xian Tianji was completely immersed in this game, and he also fantasized about obtaining his own opportunity for cultivation one day. These voices were roaring hysterically, and Black Tiger could not help but cover his head and take a step back. However, Black Tiger immediately thought of the special effect of his god-level technique. Seize the foundation. At this time, Black Tiger closed his eyes tightly. He had enough of this kind of life, and how he wished that he had the strength to fight back. The Black Tiger in the pit shrank its body and looked at the fanged tiger with a ghastly pale face. It groaned in its heart. At that time, several patrol planes entered the Dilling mountain range to search. Although he lived in seclusion, Xin Tianji was actually not unfamiliar with the technology of the outside world. He easily integrated into the city life. It was obvious that Qi Ming did not want to pursue the matter. Xin Tianji continued to kneel and kowtow, hoping to worship Qi Ming as his master and learn the real skills to avenge his wife's death. In the game, Black Tiger chose to be a sorcerer because compared to professions like berserkers, a summoning sorcerer would undoubtedly make it much easier for him in the early stages. This tablet is my tombstone, and from now on, I will not stop killing until I kill an emperor. Game notification. Comprehending the technique, seize the foundation. Volume 1. Half an hour later, Black Tiger opened his eyes again. He was disappointed to find that the scene of the spiritual chi of heaven and earth drifting around did not appear. Naturally, Xin Tianji did not dare to tell the truth. He quickly said that he had mistaken him for the enemy who killed his wife. Technique information. This technique was created by the ancient evil devil god in the land of Songshu. It contains the essence of the evil devil god's lifelong cultivation. It can seize the cultivation foundation of others and turn it into one's own. Has understood the seize the foundation, can seize other people's spirit roots to nourish one's own. Xin Tianji, who was dressed in a luxurious black robe, stood at the top of the main peak. He stared at the rolling clouds and the wind below. At this moment, his robe was flapping violently in the wind. He exuded an otherworldly temperament, but his face was full of smiles. After seeing the monster's information, Black Tiger's pupils suddenly shrank. Without hesitation, he turned around and ran. Therefore, Black Tiger did not dare to delay. He put on the virtual reality helmet, lay on his bed, and entered the game, ready to earn the amount of soul coins to pay the next day. After being in a stalemate for more than 10 minutes, the saber-toothed tiger, who could not dig open the hole, roared again, then turned around and left. Seizing the foundation of the Black Jail Sect's disciples could definitely greatly improve the quality of his own spirit root. However, it was too dangerous. This kind of behavior was undoubtedly like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. He would only be killed instead. The bloody suppression was very effective. After that, these handymen became very obedient and no longer played tricks in the dark. Although it was very cruel to kill other handymen to help himself, and it could be said to be no different from the Black Jail Sect disciples. As long as he could live, he was willing to be a villain or even a great devil. Chapter 336. After all the disciples left, Xiao Lang dismissed the workers before turning around and leaving as well. Living in this black prison, Black Tiger had imagined countless times that there would be a righteous cultivator who would come and destroy the Black Prison sect with a wave of his hand, saving him from his predicament. So he set his sights on the workers who were defenseless against him and used cruel methods to kill them. Then, he used the foundation stealing technique to condense their flesh and blood into a blood pill that could raise one's foundation and aid it. Among them, a blood pill refined by an odd job worker helped him jump from inferior spiritual root of 72% to a basic spiritual root of 18%. Before he had the strength to fight against the Black Prison sect, Black Tiger chose to endure. After a long period of slavery, the workers were already numb to it. No one dared to resist. This was the first time this happened, causing the Black Prison sect disciples to have the idea of killing a chicken to warn the monkeys. But what made the Black Prison sect disciples surprised was that no one responded to 3 of the workers after they shouted their names several times. All of this did not leave any traces, so he did not have to worry about being found out that he was the one who did it. Black Tiger only understood how important the quality of the spirit root was after he started training. Level 43 Cultivation Method Progress. Foundation Stealing Technique, Level 1-2. 8%, but after seeing that the person who came was also a worker, his expression returned to a dull state. He did not even ask why Black Tiger had come and took out the virtual reality helmet from under his bed, preparing to enter the game. At this time, Black Tiger was mixed in the crowd of workers with a dull expression. What was different from the others was that Black Tiger clearly knew where the workers had gone, because all of this was his doing. No, as long as I can live, I will be more ruthless than them. Other than fear, the expressions of the workers below were still filled with numbness. None of them answered. In these 3 years, Black Tiger's mentality had changed. He was no longer that kind and hot-blooded young man. To the current Black Tiger, the environment he was in was different. Being hot-blooded and kind was stupid. Only by being ruthless and unscrupulous was the only way to survive. Actually, he was not worried that the workers would be able to escape. After all, the Dealing mountain range was huge. How far could a worker without enough food go? What's more, there was the Black Prison True Seal as insurance. It was impossible for a mortal to escape the Black Prison Sect's control. The Black Prison Sect had a total of 126 disciples, and each disciple was responsible for 20 to 30 chores. These chores would send the soul coins earned in a night to the disciple who was responsible for looking after them by mail at around 6 a.m., and then the responsible Black Prison Sect disciple would count the chores who had not completed their tasks and send the soul coins to the sect master Xiantianji by mail. In order to find the silent worker, the Black Jail Sect disciples began to count the number of workers. At the same time, they divided the people according to where they lived in the village and began to carefully count them. The servants struggled madly, but facing Black Tiger, who was already a cultivator, his strength was undoubtedly too weak. As he struggled, he gradually lost his strength and finally stopped moving. Spirit Root, Special Basic, 58 out of 100. It was another busy day. At night, Black Tiger did not enter the game. Instead, he went to the wooden house next to the third spiritual field and pushed the door open. This time, there were still dozens of people who did not manage to pay the required amount of soul coins for a day due to various reasons. However, this count made the Black Jail Sect disciples stunned. There were actually nearly 10 less chores. After seizing the foundation, Spirit Root, of nearly 10 chores, Black Tiger was pleasantly surprised to find that his inferior spirit root in the game had actually evolved into a basic spirit root. Dealing Mountain Range, Black Jail Village. In his mind, he began to imagine the familiar flow of spirit energy. The surrounding faint light spots slowly appeared and slowly seeped into the body of this chores worker. After obtaining the great method of seizing foundation, Black Tiger felt that this was an opportunity for him. Although the method of growth was very cruel, he felt that only by being more ruthless than the Black Jail Sect would he have a chance to turn things around. After killing 2 chores workers, Black Tiger returned to his room and logged into the game. During the refinement, the body of the chores worker slowly shrunk like a spider web. The blood-colored threads expanded outwards from the chest of this chores worker and gradually covered the body of the chores worker. However, he could only kill 2 chores workers a day. He had to spend the rest of his time earning soul coins, or else he would definitely be beaten up the next day. The quality of the 2 chores workers he killed this time was not bad. It actually allowed him to increase the quality of his basic spirit root by 40%. It could be said that the harvest was not bad. Yes, Senior. The Black Jail Sect disciples beside him replied in unison. Then, they each chose a direction and left. As usual, at the first glimmer of dawn, many chores workers were gathered outside the Black Jail Sect's mountain gate and began to count the amount of soul coins they had earned that night. His spirit root was of inferior quality. If he relied on slowly breathing and cultivating, he would never have the chance to escape for the clutches of the Black Jail Sect. This kind of thing happened every year among the chores workers. Xiao Lang saw that the chores workers were dull and did not want to ask anymore. He opened his mouth and said to the disciples beside him, This made Black Tiger understand that the most important thing for him was to increase the quality of his spirit root. After all, as long as the quality was increased, perhaps one day of cultivation would be equivalent to a year of cultivation with inferior spirit root, or even more. But this was ultimately a fantasy. The cruel Black Jail sect was still fine and continued to torture them day after day. But in the morning of the routine count, the Black Jail sect disciple was surprised to find that there were 2 less chores workers. Black Tiger watched as he put on his helmet. Then, he took a step forward and fiercely punched his throat. Then, he quickly covered his mouth to prevent him from making a sound. But it was different when the quality was upgraded to the basic level. Not only did the speed of absorbing spiritual energy increase by 20%, the amount of spiritual energy that was absorbed into the body also increased to 10%. The speed of cultivation had increased by more than 5 times. Fellow juniors, go and look for them. Bring along the Black Jail True Seal. As long as they are out of the range, you will be able to sense them. They cannot escape. Daring to form a group and defect. Is the lesson not enough? The Black Jail sect's first disciple, Xiaolang, stared at the chores workers below and shouted angrily. Although there were 3,000 chores workers, it was not troublesome to count them. After the quality of the spirit root had improved, the speed of cultivation had indeed increased. With the buff from the cultivation method, Black Tiger's killing speed had increased by a lot. He had completed a day's worth of soul coins in the morning. Then he sent the soul coins in the form of mail to the Black Tiger sect disciple who was in charge of him. After he went online, the first thing he did was to open the attribute panel. In terms of paying soul coins, the chores workers could pay more soul coins to make up for the next day's amount, but they could not pay less. Has understood the great skill of stealing foundation. Can steal other people's spirit root to nourish one's own spirit root. Black Tiger, player. 2 hours later, Black Tiger, who had swallowed a blood pill, walked out of the wooden house. He went to another place and began to kill and grow again. When the chores worker who lived here saw the wooden door being pushed open, he was so scared that he took a few steps back. He thought that it was the sect's disciples. Do you know where they went? Seeing that the quality of his spirit root had improved again, Black Tiger's face revealed a sinister smile. His previous inferior spirit root was very wasteful during cultivation. He could only keep 2% of the spiritual energy that was absorbed into his body. It could be said that it was useless on the path of cultivation. Whether it was right or wrong, Black Tiger did not care anymore. He had enough of such days. If he could live, so what if he became a demonic sect like the Black Jail sect? After killing the chores worker, Black Tiger pulled open his shirt and placed his palm on the left side of his chest. Chapter 337. With the continuous disappearance of the workers, the Black Jail sect's disciples felt that something was wrong. They had searched for the few times the workers had disappeared, but they could not find any traces of the escaped workers. At that time, they thought that the escaped workers had been eaten by the wild beasts of the Diling mountain range, so they did not think much of it. But now that such a situation had occurred, it was a little abnormal. Although there would be workers in the Black Jail village who could not stand this kind of life and chose to escape, the frequency of this happening was very low. Most of the workers were already numb to the current life, and with their bloody demonstrations, there were only a few who had the thought of escaping. But the frequency of this happening was too high, especially recently. It had happened continuously. This made the Black Jail sect disciples feel that something was wrong. The eldest disciple, Xiaolang's gaze swept across the group of workers, as if he wanted to see something. And Black Tiger was hidden in the group of workers and looked up at him in a daze, not revealing any flaws. After asking the workers again, he still could not get an answer. Xiaolang could only dismiss the workers and then send the disciples out to search again. When he decided to rebel, Black Tiger made a plan for his daily schedule. Now that he had started cultivating, his physique was getting better and better, so his work was a lot easier than usual. After quickly finishing the day's workload, he would find a place to hide and cultivate while he went out to fetch water, then return to the sect again. Afterwards, he would look for workers at night to assassinate, refine, and devour them, and then go online to collect soul coins in the last few hours. Everything was carried out in an orderly manner. Black Tiger's spirit root grew strong, and in just half a month, it had reached the level of excellent spirit root, rank 3. When the sky darkened, Black Tiger went out to search for his prey again. This time, he targeted the room of a female worker. After sneaking into the room, he used the same method to kill the worker. But just as he was about to refine it, the wooden door was suddenly pushed open. It was you secretly causing trouble. The one who entered was a steward disciple holding a whip. Black Jail Sect disciple ranks from lowest to highest. Steward disciple, inner disciple, direct disciple, true disciple, great disciple, elder, sect leader. Black Tiger's heart constricted abruptly when he saw this, and he hurriedly wanted to flee. However, this managing disciple had already blocked his path since long ago, and Black Tiger was already unable to flee. In these 3 years, Heihu had a deep fear towards the disciples of the sect. Although he was already a cultivator, this fear was still imprinted in his heart and could not be erased. I don't want to die. By the way, where are the other odd job workers that you've killed hidden? The odd job supervisor grinned as he approached the Black Tiger step by step. Black Tiger did not answer. He kept retreating. Seeing that Heihu didn't dare to respond to him, the supervising disciple stretched out his hand and lashed the black leather whip fiercely on Heihu's body, causing him to shiver. I'll ask you again, where did you hide the other servants you killed? In fact, this supervising disciple was not surprised that Black Tiger had killed the other odd job workers. The reason was very simple. In this kind of environment, it was easy for the odd job workers to have psychological problems. There had been cases of crazy odd job workers attacking other odd job workers, but the only thing that puzzled him was that the corpses of the dead odd job workers had disappeared. Looking at Black Tiger, who was curled up in the corner, the supervising disciple's heart surged with hostility. In his eyes, odd job workers were just animals that were kept in captivity. Disobeying him would only lead to death. Black Tiger, who was curled up in the corner, looked very pitiful. However, as a Black Jail Sect disciple, he never sympathized with the weak because he was a superior cultivator. He should be at the top of the food chain. Just as the black leather whip was about to hit him again, Black Tiger's eyes suddenly flashed with an ominous light. His body suddenly pounced forward, catching the supervising disciple off guard. His throat was heavily punched. Woo! Cough, cough. The disciple hurriedly covered his neck. He felt that breathing had become difficult. Since he had made a move, Black Tiger's heart was ruthless. He closed in and punched the supervising disciple's right arm. He quickly snatched the black leather whip from his hand and then tied it around the supervising disciple's neck. He began to tighten it. No odd job worker had ever dared to make a move against them. This time, Black Tiger's attack really caught the supervising disciple off guard. At this time, the black leather whip around his neck gradually tightened. The barbs even pierced into his blood vessels bit by bit. The supervising disciple was shocked and began to struggle with all his might. Both of his hands continuously hit Black Tiger's body, creating lines of blood-red handprints. However, Black Tiger did not dare to let go. He clenched his teeth and persevered. Because if the supervising disciple did not die, then he would undoubtedly die. As the supervising disciple continued to struggle, Black Tiger's eyes gradually became bloodshot. He could not help but spit out a mouthful of fresh blood. Although he was already a cultivator, there was still a big gap between him and the supervising disciple in terms of strength. While struggling, Black Tiger's internal organs were shaken. If he did not have the determination to die, he would have collapsed a long time ago. As he clenched his teeth and persevered, the supervising disciple's struggle became more and more powerless. Finally, he stopped moving. However, Black Tiger still did not let go. He tightened his grip on the black leather whip. After a full 5 minutes, he suddenly let go. Then, he lay on the ground and began to pant. After a while, Black Tiger, who had recovered some of his strength, looked at the supervising disciple with a ferocious look on his face. Since he had already killed the supervising disciple, he naturally would not let it go to waste. The quality of these cultivators' spirit roots must be extremely high, which would be of great help to him. In this era where spirit energy was declining, those who could cultivate were undoubtedly geniuses with high-quality spirit roots. However, this refinement lasted for about 5 hours. Black Tiger then refined the supervising disciple into a blood pill and swallowed it. After that, he spent another 2 hours refining another odd job worker. Only then did Black Tiger return to his wooden house. After logging into the game, Black Tiger opened the attribute panel as usual. Black Tiger, player, level 45 spirit root, special superior spirit root, 6 out of 100, mastered the great technique of seizing foundation, able to seize other people's spirit roots to nourish one's own. Cultivation progress, great technique of seizing foundation, level 15. 9% since refining had wasted a lot of time, Black Tiger knew that he would definitely be beaten up the next day. However, after seeing his upgraded spirit root, Black Tiger felt that everything was worth it. This was because he knew that he was one step closer to getting rid of the Black Hell sex control. Recently, Lu Wu discovered a strange thing. The cause was an abnormal feedback from the artifact. In a small area, there was an abnormal phenomenon of players dying every day, and it had been going on for more than half a month. In fact, it was normal for players to die. After all, the number of players in Battle Online was huge. It was very normal for players to die due to various reasons in real life. The souls of the dead players would also be pulled into the space by the artifact. For these dead players, Lu Wu would not directly put them back into the game. After all, players were more or less related to each other. Many of them were even friends in real life. If they died in real life but continued playing in Battle Online, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. Lu Wu came up with 4 solutions to deal with these dead players. Basically, ordinary players would be converted into NPCs. Their past memories would be erased, and they would continue playing the game with different identities. By doing this, other players would not be able to find out the problem. It was very safe. However, what they did not know was that the NPC that they were talking to might be their dead friends in real life. However, Lu Wu would not do this for the more talented players. Lu Wu would store the souls of these players in the artifact space. He was prepared to continue appearing in the game as a player when the time was right. This was because these players were very valuable. They could also create benefits for Lu Wu that ordinary players could not compare to. It was suitable for them to continue existing as players. Of course, these players' memories would also be altered. Although they knew that they were players and knew everything in real life, under the supervision of the artifact, they could not reveal the secrets in the game and existed as another player. This type of players was not connected to the real world. They only existed in the game. However, there were not many of them, less than 100 of them. There was also a very special type of players with super talents. Lu Wu would neither turn this group of players into NPCs nor players. Instead, he exiled their souls to the most mysterious part of the underworld sea, the Wandering Ocean. He would let them wander in that area and explore the secrets of the sea. The Wandering Ocean was different from the other sea areas of the underworld sea. It was where the god of the underworld sea resided. It was the central sacred land of the entire underworld sea. It was also the final resting place for the souls of most of the dead creatures in real life. It was close to the 6 paths of reincarnation and was also a place for souls to be reincarnated. Lu Wu needed this group of super talented players for a very simple task. He needed them to find other talented souls for his own use. For more information, please refer to the special chapter at the end of Chapter 195. As for the players who were registered by Lu Wu and affectionately called cheaters by other players, Lu Wu would basically guarantee that they would not die in real life. He would also use the artifact as a safety marker to ensure their safety. This was because they would be the most important force in the Calamity Army that Lu Wu wanted to build in the future. Naturally, Lu Wu would not let anything happen to them. However, Lu Wu was still concerned about the deaths of the players. He asked Bei Li to set up a death monitor in the artifact. The artifact would monitor the deaths 24 hours a day and divide the deaths into 3 categories: normal, accidental, and abnormal accidental deaths. Therefore, The continuous abnormal accidental deaths in a small area naturally attracted Lu Wu's attention. According to the feedback from the artifact, there were only about 3,000 players in that small area. However, there were players dying in abnormal accidents every day. This seemed a little unusual. To find out the reason, Lu Wu directly used the artifact to check the soul information of all the players in that area. He then found out that more than 100 of the 3,000 players were cultivators. Although the strength of most of the cultivators could only be considered as the threshold of a cultivator, Lu Wu was still surprised. After all, it was already very difficult to have a gathering point for cultivators in this degenerate era. While checking the soul information of these players, Lu Wu also found something that surprised him. This was because one of the players was the one that he had been paying close attention to recently. He had already started to cultivate the great skill of seizing the foundation created by the evil devil god. He was a potential player named Black Tiger who had the potential to be recorded in Lu Wu's personal notebook. During the in-depth investigation, Lu Wu also found the base of the devil cult, the Black Hell sect, which had an outrageous way of doing things. He also found out about the evil deeds that Black Tiger had done in order to survive. Lu Wu, who had a good outlook on life, was ready to use 3 consecutive rites. However, he was stopped by Bailey at this time. The reason was simple. It was because Bailey found something interesting, and this matter was closely related to Lu Wu. As long as they waited for the matter to ferment, they might have unexpected gains. Chapter 338. Recently, strange things had happened in the Black Jail sect. Every day, there would be workers mysteriously disappearing. At that time, the sect disciples thought that the workers had escaped, but as the number of missing workers continued to increase, they realized that the matter was not as simple as they thought. In the past few days, the situation had become more and more serious. It was not only the workers that had disappeared, even the sect disciples could not escape this calamity. In just a few days, 5 steward disciples, 2 inner disciples, and the workers had mysteriously disappeared. If they were alive, they could not be seen, and if they were dead, their corpses could not be found. No matter if it was the workers or the Black Jail sect disciples, everyone was panicking. In the morning, all the workers gathered in front of the mountain gate. Due to the recent occurrence of strange disappearances, the grim-faced disciples of the various sects began to count the number of odd-job workers. Indeed, just as they had guessed, another 5 people were missing. This was too strange. Every day, more and more people disappeared without a trace. It was as if they had evaporated into thin air. It was really strange. After dispersing the workers, the worried Black Jail sect disciples gathered together and began to discuss how to deal with this strange situation. During this time, the disciples all gave their own guesses. Some said that it was a spiritual beast that entered the village at night and swallowed the workers, then left at dawn. Some also guessed that the resentment accumulated by the workers for many years gave birth to a bloodthirsty, vengeful spirit, which was why such a strange thing happened. In short, the sect disciples all had different opinions, but their guesses could not stand up to scrutiny. First of all, if a beast entered the village to eat people, it would definitely leave a trace. This kind of disappearance was obviously not done by a beast. And the vengeful spirit theory was even more exaggerated, because a newly born vengeful spirit did not have any consciousness. If it really was a vengeful spirit, it would not stop until it killed all the workers. Moreover, the creatures that were killed by the vengeful spirit all died miserably. It was impossible that there was not even a corpse left. Many guesses were overturned in the discussion, and in the end, the sect disciples still had no clue. At this time, the eldest disciple Xiao Lang opened his mouth. "How about this? I will ask Master. You guys continue to investigate. From now on, form groups of 3 to secretly search the worker village and see if you can find any clues." Since Xiao Lang had spoken, the disciples naturally did not dare to disobey. In fact, in their eyes, the odd-job workers were no different from livestock, or even worse than livestock. Although they couldn't find out the reason for their disappearance, they never cared about it, so they were naturally unwilling to patrol overnight for the sake of odd-job workers. But now, it was different because the disappearance had already implicated the disciples of the sect, causing them to feel a sense of crisis. Coupled with the words of their eldest disciple, Xiaolang, they could only agree. After all, this matter could possibly be related to them as well. Diling Mountain Range, next to the forest by the lake. The black tiger sat cross-legged on the ground, constantly inhaling and exhaling the thin spiritual energy in the forest. This spiritual energy seeped into his body bit by bit, strengthening his physical qualities. His dark skin was covered with a thin layer of mist under the nourishment of the spiritual energy, shining with a black luster. Black Tiger was no longer the same as before. He sat there like a bloodthirsty tiger, crouching on the ground, ready to pounce at any moment. In more than a month, Black Tiger had already killed more than 100 people. Without exception, these people were all refined into blood pills by him, becoming nutrients for his spiritual root. As the quality of his spiritual root continued to rise, his cultivation progress became faster and faster. His strength also became stronger, and he was one step closer to his goal. Now, Black Tiger's hunting target was no longer limited to odd job workers. The disciples of the sect had also become Black Tiger's hunting target. But recently, the Black Jail sect had started to pay more attention to the mysterious disappearances. Every night, there would be a large number of sect disciples patrolling the village, making it extremely difficult for Black Tiger to find targets to devour. But this did not stump Black Tiger. Since he could not kill people in the village, then he would choose to kill people outside the Black Jail village. After all, there would be many odd job workers going out to chop firewood and fetch water. So Black Tiger still had a lot of opportunities to hunt. It could be said that even though the Black Jail sect was guarding the village to the death, Black Tiger's strength did not slow down, but instead became faster and faster. And Black Tiger hid very well. He was still that lifeless youth in the sect and was never suspected. Even the disciples of the Black Jail sect did not think that the person who could kill odd job workers and sect disciples would be an odd job worker that they could beat and scold. In this period of time, Black Tiger realized that he was becoming more and more cold-blooded and heartless. Just a few days ago, he killed an odd job worker that had helped him before. That odd job worker was also one of his few friends in the Black Jail village. But Black Tiger still killed him without hesitation. Even if he begged, Black Tiger did not let him go. At this time, Black Tiger suddenly thought of a sentence that the sect disciples had said. "We are cultivators. We are higher than you. You odd job workers are animals. Your deaths are not to be regretted." This sentence sounded crazy to Black Tiger at that time. He did not treat people as humans, yet he could still be so righteous. But to the current Black Tiger, this sentence was so correct. The strong preyed on the weak was human nature. The so-called kindness could only exist in a peaceful world, but this was the Black Jail sect, a demonic sect that ate people without spitting out their bones. Only by being more ruthless and cunning would one be able to survive. Unknowingly, Black Tiger realized that his way of thinking was no different from those Black Jail sect disciples. He had become the person that he hated the most in the past. But Black Tiger did not regret, because he only wanted to live without fear. Everything he had changed was thanks to the Black Jail sect, so he wanted to become stronger than the Black Jail sect disciples by a level on the food chain, and then eat them all up, using the craziest method to repay them, to thank them for letting him understand the principle of the strong preying on the weak. At this time, Black Tiger had completely turned black. He knew that his actions were extremely cruel, but he did not feel that he had done anything wrong. As the sky gradually darkened, Black Tiger stopped cultivating. After standing up, the ruthlessness on his body dissipated. His face regained its wooden and slightly fearful expression. He picked up the bucket of water and started to run back into the village. On the way back, Black Tiger met a few patrolling sect disciples, but they did not notice that Black Tiger was different. They did not even look at him, they just passed by him. They would never have thought that the odd job worker that passed by was the killer that they had been searching for so long. Another few days passed. Black Tiger's growth continued. Even when the elders personally came out to investigate, they did not find any clues. And under their eyes, Black Tiger continued to accumulate power. waiting for the moment to transform into a fierce beast. That day, Black Tiger finished his chores as usual and prepared to leave the village to fetch water. Along the way, he started to observe the surrounding sect disciples, looking for a target to hunt. As he neared the inner lake, Black Tiger suddenly noticed a lone sect disciple. But Black Tiger did not make a move, but ran straight towards the inner lake, at the same time constantly observing the surroundings, in case there was an ambush. Since he had decided to be a hunter, he had to be vigilant. The Black Jail sect was an evil sect. After 3 years of contact, he knew how cunning these disciples were. If he was not careful, he would fall into their trap. And now the sect disciples were traveling in groups of 3 to 5. Going out alone was already very suspicious, so Black Tiger did not dare to make a move. The Black Jail sect disciples seemed to have noticed Black Tiger. After staring at him for a while, he no longer paid attention and continued to walk forward. After arriving at the lake, Black Tiger started to fetch water. His eyes continued to observe the surroundings, checking the situation. Originally, he was prepared to train here, but now was obviously not a good time. There was a sect disciple outside the inner lake. If he stayed here for too long, it might cause suspicion. So after fetching water, Black Tiger stood up, carrying the wooden bucket, and prepared to return. Seeing the sect disciple again, Black Tiger shrunk his head in fear and continued to jog forward. At the same time, his eyes continued to scan the surroundings, confirming if there was an ambush. "Hey, stop!" At this moment, the sect disciple suddenly spoke. Black Tiger did not hesitate to stand where he was, then lowered his head to look at the sect disciple. His expression was one of humility. "How long have you been in the Black Jail sect?" The sect disciple approached step by step and stopped a meter away from him. 3 years, Black Tiger said uncertainly. Black Tiger's tone was completely the same as the other servants. As if his numb life had made him forget the passage of time, it could be said that he did not reveal any flaws. The disciple nodded, then impatiently waved his hand. Scram. Hearing this, Black Tiger immediately turned and left. Seeing this, the sect disciple immediately turned around and continued to look at the inner lake. However, at this moment, Black Tiger, who was about to leave, suddenly turned around, his eyes filled with ferocity, and punched the back of the disciple. After the disciple fell to the ground, Black Tiger pressed down on the back of the disciple's neck and punched the back of the disciple's head again and again, turning his head into a bloody mess. After killing the sect disciple, Black Tiger did not hesitate at all and dragged the sect disciple's corpse to the inner lake, then followed the inner lake to the place where he usually hid and trained. After Hu left, an old man in a black robe appeared. He looked at the direction Black Tiger left, and his eyes revealed a smile. As expected of a cunning person, he actually investigated for so long before making his move. Ever since the disappearances happened frequently, the Black Jail sect set a rule that the sect disciples should only travel in groups of 3 to 5. Unless it was absolutely necessary, they were not allowed to travel alone. However, the hidden killer was cunning and did not appear, which gave the investigating elder Shui Han a headache. After a few days of fruitless investigation, Shui Han thought of a way, which was to lure the killer out himself. For this, he specially used the disciple who had just died as bait, and in a few days, he changed the positions of the servants. He said that he wanted him to investigate the servants alone, but in reality, Shui Han had already used him as bait, a sacrificial pawn, to lure the hidden killer. The so-called bait was just a discarded object that would be eaten up the moment the beast took the bait. The disciple's death did not make Shui Han's heart waver. However, what Shui Han did not expect was that the hidden killer was actually his servant, which was really out of his expectations. At this time, in a grass cave by the inner lake, Black Tiger's hands were on the dead sect disciple's chest, and he was using spiritual energy to continuously refine his flesh and blood. After the investigation ended, and after confirming that there were no hidden sect disciples, Black Tiger did not hesitate to make his move. In Black Tiger's eyes, the value of the sect disciples was much higher than the servants, so it could be said that he had gained a lot this time. However, at this time, a black shadow appeared at the side and then fiercely hit Black Tiger's chest, causing him to fly out and fall solidly into the pile of mud at the end of the grass cave. TSK, I really did not expect you to be a servant. This is really unexpected. Looking at Black Tiger, who had fallen to the ground, Shuehan's face was full of smiles. As he spoke, Shuehan looked at the blood-red spider web on the dead disciple's chest, and the smile on his face became even wider. Devouring flesh and blood to nourish your body? How about we make a deal? Black Tiger quickly got up and stared vigilantly at Elder Shuehan, who was standing at the entrance of the grass cave, but his heart sank. He was very familiar with the path to the inner lake, and before he killed the disciple, he had carefully checked the surrounding places where people could hide and made sure that there was no ambush before he made his move. However, he did not expect to still be killed, and the person who killed him was actually an elder of the Black Jail sect. Although his strength had improved rapidly, he was still no match for the elder. Black Tiger was secretly crying in his heart. As for the elder's so-called deal, Black Tiger did not believe it at all. This was because this was not the exchange hall, and trading with someone whose strength was not on the same level would only result in being devoured whole. Tell me the devouring technique, and tell me how you obtained it, and I will let you go. How about that? Elder Shuehan continued to tempt him. All right, I'll tell you, let me go. Black Tiger said cautiously. Then come here. Elder Shuehan still had a smile on his face. As he approached the elder, Black Tiger's body suddenly exploded, and his 5 fingers formed into a claw shape as he tried to grab the elder's throat. However, Elder Shuehan seemed to have already expected Black Tiger to attack, and his expression did not change. He smiled as he lightly slapped forward and flipped Black Tiger over. Then, he took a step forward, grabbed Black Tiger's hair, and lifted him up from the ground. I admire your personality. You are suitable to be a disciple of the Black Prison sect. How about this? Tell me what you want, and I will take you in as a direct disciple of the Black Prison sect. Elder Shuehan smiled as he looked at Black Tiger. It's a pity that this beast cannot grow up, or else I will definitely devour all of you. Black Tiger's expression was fierce as he stared at Elder Shuehan. At this moment, Black Tiger knew that he was no match for Elder Shuehan. If he handed over the technique, he would die, but if he did not, he would still die. You are a beast? Ha ha ha. Hearing Black Tiger's words, Elder Shuehan could not help but laugh out loud. Thinking about Black Tiger's previous actions of hunting the servants and disciples, Elder Shuehan felt that Black Tiger was ruthless, and dark enough. He was a good seedling, and very suitable to become a disciple of the Black Prison sect. Looking at Black Tiger, Elder Shuehan suddenly felt that it was a pity. It was a pity that Black Tiger had a treasure that he desired. In order to let as few people as possible know about it, it was better to kill him after obtaining it. Have you heard of the Black Prison sect's worm punishment? I will cut a wound on your head and let the bloodworms enter through your scalp. They will gnaw away at your flesh bit by bit until you're only left with a layer of skin. The process is extremely painful, but I will not let you die before you become a layer of skin. Shuehan smiled as he said those threatening words. Sure, I want to try. Heihu laughed maniacally and was not moved at all. Shuehan's smile froze. Clearly, Black Tiger's reaction was not what he wanted. I will give you one last chance. Tell me the technique, or else I will make you wish you were dead. Shuehan finally lost his patience. If I had enough time, you would just be food in my eyes. What a pity. Black Tiger's eyes were filled with madness. At this moment, Shuehan could tell that Black Tiger would not tell him the technique. Instantly, his face was filled with anger. Enraged, Shuehan stretched out his hand and slapped Black Tiger's head. Blood spurted out, but Black Tiger was still laughing hysterically. His expression was filled with madness. Then, he punched Shuehan's chest. Go to hell. Shuehan increased the strength of his hand. This blow cracked Heihu's skull, causing white brain matter to splatter out. Heihu's dying punch also landed on Shuehan's chest, causing him to take a few steps back. Feeling the burning pain in his chest, Shuehan lifted his shirt and a clear fist print could be seen. Looking at Black Tiger, who had fallen to the ground and stopped moving, Shui Han snorted. He was furious. He did not expect Black Tiger to be so stubborn. However, just as Shui Han bent down to check if the Black Tiger was dead, a cloud of black mist suddenly floated out of the top of the Black Tiger's head. It transformed into a pitch-black palm in the air and grabbed Shui Han's neck. Crack! The sudden attack did not give Shui Han time to react. His neck was instantly broken by the arm formed by the black fog. Ha ha! The evil demon god has finally returned. Bailey, the chess game is not over yet. Let's continue. The evil demon god's maniacal laughter came from the black fog. After millions of years of planning, although he had lost to Bailey, he had already thought of a way to resurrect himself. Everything was for today's return, so that he could continue fighting the god of Bailey. At this moment, Lu Wu and Bailey, who were staring at the screen and eating melon seeds, suddenly stood up and applauded when they saw this scene. Then, they laughed along with the laughter in the black fog. Chapter 339. Looking at the evil demon god who was laughing hysterically in the image, Lu Wu and Bailey could not help but laugh out loud. In fact, not only were they not surprised by the resurrection of the evil demon god, they were even a little surprised. Bailey had already discovered the problem when the artifact was analyzing the foundation snatching technique. This technique was not as simple as they thought. It was full of killing intent. Foundation snatching technique, godly level technique, volume 1. Technique details. This technique was created by the ancient evil demon god in the land at Sangshu. It contains the essence of the evil demon god's lifelong cultivation. It can steal the cultivation foundation of others and turn it into one's own. According to the artifact's analysis, this technique seemed to be able to steal the cultivation foundation of others and turn it into one's own. However, there was a hidden meaning, which was to steal the cultivation foundation of the person who cultivated this technique for the evil demon god's own use. Lu Wu did not notice it at that time, but Bailey did. Therefore, when Lu Wu was about to take over all the players in the Black Hell sect, Bailey stopped him because she had a way to trap the resurrected evil demon god. The resurrected evil demon god was just a consciousness that was awakened in Black Tiger's soul. In other words, he did not have his own soul because he was attached to Black Tiger's soul. However, Black Tiger was a player, and the player's soul was controlled by the artifact, which meant that it was controlled by Lu Wu. The evil demon god had been planning for 1,000,000 years, wanting to start the chess game after the recovery of the technique. However, he was defeated the moment he was resurrected. However, Lu Wu did not plan to capture the evil demon god into the artifact space right now, because it was not the right time yet. The evil demon god was already a chess piece planted by Lu Wu and Bailey, so it was impossible for him to escape. However, it had to be said that the evil barbarian god was a true genius. He had used the power of the laws to scatter his consciousness and merge it with the world. Only by following the fixed path of the cultivation technique and absorbing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth would his scattered consciousness be summoned and gather bit by bit, following the cultivation technique into his soul. This step was hidden so well that even the gods would not be able to discover it. As long as one cultivated this technique, the evil demon god would become a parasite, and in the end, the evil demon god would be reincarnated. However, the goddess of Bailey, did not take a liking to his technique and abandoned it at the border between the two regions. The evil demonic god's original plan to parasitize Bailey had failed completely. In fact, Lu Wu was very curious as to why he would give up on this technique in his past life. Even Lu Wu felt that this technique, which allowed him to steal other people's talents, was very powerful and tempting. Could it be that he had discovered something wrong with this technique in his past life? Lu Wu asked Bailey about it. Bailey's answer was that in Lu Wu's previous life, he felt that the way of fate that he created was the best and that all the other skills were trash. She would not accept any rebuttals. Lu Wu was speechless. Emperor Mausoleum Mountain Range, Inner Lake. The black mist formed by the evil demon god's consciousness surged in the air. At this moment, the malevolent barbarian god was very excited because he had been revived. Everything could start anew. Although it was a pity that he did not obtain the soul of the god of Bailey, at least he was still alive. With the Foundation snatching Grand Method and his godhead on the underworld god list, he would be able to rise again very soon. Glancing at the motionless black tiger on the ground, the black mist formed by the evil demon god suddenly sank and pounced on the bodies of the black prison sect's elder, Shui Han, and another disciple who were long dead. Although it was the age of Dharma ending, the thin spiritual energy gathered at this place under the influence of the evil demon god's powerful consciousness. He carved a foundation, stealing blood formation on the bodies of Shui Han and the other black prison sect disciple. As the spiritual energy entered their bodies began to melt rapidly and finally turned into two pills that shone with a blood-red luster. Then, the black mist wrapped around the two blood pills and rushed into Black Tiger's body. At this moment, Black Tiger was not dead. His soul flickered and trembled slightly. A black hole slowly formed beside him, as if his soul could leave his body and enter it at any time. However, after the evil demon god entered his body, Black Tiger's soul was locked in his body. Coupled with the nourishment of the blood pills, he gradually stopped moving. At this moment, he could not let Black Tiger die. Although his consciousness was strong, it was too little. Killing Shui Han had consumed a part of his consciousness. He still needed Black Tiger's soul to nourish his own consciousness and then find an opportunity to occupy Black Tiger's soul. If it was not for the urgent situation just now, he would still be in a deep sleep and growing bit by bit. He would definitely not wake up. After an unknown amount of time, Black Tiger slowly opened his eyes. The moment he woke up, Black Tiger suddenly stood up and began to observe his surroundings vigilantly. "I'm not dead." At this moment, Black Tiger was surprised to find that the bodies of Elder Shui Han and the other disciple were gone. Only their clothes were left on the ground, but they were gone. If Elder Shui Han let him go, Black Tiger would definitely not believe it. There were really no good people in the Black Prison sect. At this moment, Black Tiger suddenly thought of something and quickly reached out to touch his head. The crack on his head was still there. When he touched it, he felt a sharp pain, causing Black Tiger's face to twitch slightly. He did not die even after that. Black Tiger could not understand what was going on. Why was he still alive, but Elder Shui Han and the other Black Prison sect disciple were gone? While he was puzzled, a voice suddenly appeared in Black Tiger's mind. "Young man, I saved you." The sudden voice startled the Black Tiger. It quickly looked around, but found no one. "I'm in your mind. You can't find me. Who are you?" Black Tiger asked cautiously. "I am the evil demon god. The Foundation stealing technique that you learned was created by me." The hoarse voice in his mind was clear, causing Black Tiger to shiver uncontrollably. "Then why did you appear in my mind?" "You learned my technique, so you're my disciple. I died long ago, and this is only a strand of my consciousness. After you practice the technique, I will be awakened. I was also the one who saved you just now." The evil demon god continued to speak. "Thank you," Black Tiger immediately said. At this moment, Black Tiger was on high alert. Although the evil demon god saved him and did not harm him when he was unconscious, he was still worried that this consciousness had appeared in his mind. After living in the Black Prison sect for so long, Black Tiger was very vigilant towards all uncontrollable factors. "Young man, which big region is this? Why is the spiritual energy so thin? Do you know the deity of Baiki? And where did you get your technique?" Since he did not steal Black Tiger's soul, the evil demon god did not obtain Black Tiger's memory. He could only ask, "Big region? The deity of Baiki?" Black Tiger was stunned. How could Black Tiger not be familiar with the so-called big region? Wasn't it something from the battle game? "Are you from the game world?" "What game world?" The evil demon god obviously did not understand. Black Tiger thought for a while and told the evil demon god everything he knew. After listening to Black Tiger's explanation, the evil demon god's consciousness shook violently. All of this was too unbelievable to the evil demon god. This was simply a huge conspiracy, and it was actually done flawlessly. There was no interference from the heaven realm or the great emperor of the underworld. Everything was hidden too perfectly, and even the experienced and knowledgeable evil demonic god felt his heart tremble. Who is it? Is it Bailey? At this moment, the evil demon god suddenly remembered something. Back then, the deity of Baiki, Bailey, had recruited him and hoped that he would join the heaven-defying alliance. Thinking about the plan to build a player army under the guise of a game, the evil demon god was once again convinced that it was Bailey's doing. However, the evil demon god suddenly had a bad feeling. Although he felt that Bailey's ability was definitely not enough to completely control the soul, as a player, Black Tiger's soul must have been left with some kind of control method. He had to get rid of it as soon as possible. Otherwise, the soul that he had taken over Black Tiger's body would fall into Bailey's hands. Kid, from today onwards, I'll help you grow as fast as possible. What you need to do is to speed up the cultivation of the Great Foundation snatching technique. The words of the evil devil deity caused Hu to become vigilant once again. He did not believe that the evil devil deity, who had created such a vicious technique, would have such good intentions. However, he did not know how to expel the evil devil deity from his mind, and his heart was filled with worry. I know what you're thinking. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. Although I need a body to be reborn, it won't be you. As long as you're strong enough, you can definitely find me a better body. The evil demon god was born from Black Tiger's soul. It would be very troublesome to change his soul. However, these words lowered Black Tiger's guard once again. What should I do? Black Tiger continued to ask because he was too eager to become stronger. Tell me your current situation, and I'll think of a way. The evil demon god replied. Black Tiger did not hide anything and told the evil demon god about his situation. After hearing Black Tiger's description, the evil demon god laughed. You call this a demonic sect? According to Black Tiger's description, the Black Hell sect was evil beyond redemption. They treated human lives as grass and kept servants as slaves. However, in the evil demon god's eyes, they were too merciful. The Chevy Corpse clan's undying torture, the death garden watered with the blood of countless living beings, the great realm ceremony, etc. In the evil demon god's eyes, any of the things he had done were countless times more evil than the Black Hell sect described by Black Tiger. However, this could not be called a demonic sect. It was just cruelty and had nothing to do with the word demonic. In the evil demon god's eyes, the Black Hell sect's actions were like child's play. It was truly laughable and did not deserve to be called a demonic sect. In the evil demon god's impression, there was only one demonic sect. It was the heavenly demon sect that the human emperor had slaughtered and established in the human world. That was the true demonic sect. They used the boundless outskirts of the three realms as their hunting grounds and hunted the various forces of the outskirts. When they were crazy, they could even fight against 28 forces of the outskirts at the same time. That kind of craziness and situation was not something they could compare to. It was also because of this action that they were called demons by the people of the three realms and the outskirts forces as extraterrestrial demons. The outskirts is equivalent to a big universe, and the three realms is equivalent to a gigantic planet. Therefore, in the eyes of the outskirts forces, the three realms is also an outskirts force, just like how foreigners see us as foreigners. In the evil demon god's eyes, that was the true demon. It was completely different from the cruelty of the Black Hell sect. It was also the height that he had been pursuing all his life. He wanted to become a fearless extraterrestrial demon who killed as he pleased. All living beings were his prey. Therefore, when he heard Black Tiger describe the Black Hell sect as a demonic sect, other than snorting disdainfully, the evil demon god was even a little angry. Because in the evil demon god's eyes, they did not even have the qualifications to become demonic slaves. So, how could they be worthy of the name demonic sect? Chapter 340. Dealing Mountain Range, Black Prison Village. The sky was already dark. Black Tiger, who had returned to Black Prison Village, did not manage to escape a round of whipping. Fortunately, Black Tiger's skin was thick after becoming a cultivator, so the beatings were not as hard to endure as before. After returning to his wooden house, Black Tiger started to plan his next step of hunting. After he explained the situation to the evil demon god, the evil demon god gave him a method to speed up his growth. Blood sacrificed the entire Black Prison sect. He would enslave everyone, including the sect's disciples, and refine them into food for him to grow. This idea seemed crazy to Black Tiger, but to the evil demon god, it was just a small matter. Moreover, he had already planned out how to do it for Black Tiger. As long as Black Tiger did as he said, everything would not be a problem. The evil demon god's idea was very simple. In his mind, there were tens of thousands of blood sacrifice formations that could refine the entire Black Prison sect in one go. Most of these formations required energy from the sect itself, but there were also a few that relied on absorbing spiritual energy from the heaven and earth to operate automatically. However, the evil demon god did not use these two types of formations this time. After all, he was currently in the human realm during the end of the world. It was very difficult to rely on the spiritual energy from the heaven and earth to operate the formation. The other type was even more undesirable. With Black Tiger's current strength, he would be sucked dry the moment the blood sacrifice formation was activated. He would not be able to support the operation of the blood sacrifice formation at all. Therefore, the evil demon god thought of laws. The power of laws was everywhere. It was the source of power that built the world. Even though the human realm was in the end of the world, the power of laws had never faded, nor had it decreased. This was because laws were a special form of energy that was constant. If they were to disappear, the three realms would definitely collapse. Therefore, the evil demon god thought of using the power of laws to operate the blood sacrifice formation. Although the evil demon god was only a consciousness, he was once an ancient god and had a deep understanding of laws. Furthermore, there were 5 types of laws inscribed on his body. Even if he died, it would not be erased. Therefore, it was not difficult for the evil demon god to borrow the power of laws. However, before that, the evil demon god needed Black Tiger to make many preparations. He first began to teach Black Tiger how to build the blood sacrifice formation. Then, he began to prepare the materials. Since it was a blood sacrifice formation, blood was naturally the best material to draw the formation without the help of spiritual materials. Based on the Black Tiger's current situation, there were 2 ways to obtain blood. One was the fresh blood of wild beasts, and the other was the fresh blood of odd job workers. These 2 ways could be used at the same time. Since the blood sacrifice formation occupied a large area, the amount of blood needed was naturally very large. Therefore, the blood of wild beasts was the main source of blood, followed by the odd job workers. After all, hunting odd job workers was risky. There was still an extremely important step in the process of outlining the blood sacrifice grand formation, and it was to conceal the blood sacrifice grand formation. It couldn't be discovered before the blood sacrifice grand formation was completed, otherwise, all previous efforts would be wasted. This step could be easily accomplished by the evil fiend Celestial as well. This was because the illusion nomological law of the 5 nomological laws he grasped could completely conceal the blood sacrifice array and prevent anyone from discovering it. After finalizing all the plans, Black Tiger began to act. In half a month's time, Black Tiger would finish his day's work as soon as possible. Then, when he went out to fetch water, he would start to collect the blood needed to draw the formation. He wouldn't store the blood, but use it directly on the outlining of the blood sacrifice grand formation outside Black Prison Village. Fortunately, Black Prison Village was shrouded in thick fog all year round, so Black Tiger's actions of secretly drawing the formation around Black Prison Village were not discovered. Everything was carried out in an orderly manner according to the evil Fiend Celestial's plan. It was also because of the evil Fiend Celestial's plan that Black Tiger's hunting of odd job workers and sect disciples slowed down. However, the people in Black Prison Sect were still anxious, because this time, not only did the disciples go missing, even the elders went missing. The disciples searching the mountain only found Elder Shui Han's clothes by the lakeside, but they couldn't find him. It was as if he had vanished into thin air like the other missing people. The frequent strange things that happened during this period of time even alarmed the Black Prison sect leader, Xian Tianji. After a long period of fruitless investigation, Xian Tianji finally couldn't sit still and personally came out to investigate. After that, Xian Tianji summarized all the existing clues according to the disciples' descriptions and began to analyze through the night. During the investigation, Xian Tianji found that since the first mysterious disappearance, 378 people had already gone missing, but there were very few clues, because all the missing people only left behind clothes. There were no other clues that could prove what attacked them, and he couldn't find the killer based on these insignificant clues. However, Xian Tianji found a trend in the missing people during the investigation. At the beginning, the missing people were odd job workers, then it was the managing disciples. After a few days, it was the inner disciples, and after that, it was the direct disciples. As the days passed, it seemed that the upper limit of the missing people's strength also increased. This trend seemed like the hidden killer was also becoming stronger, especially after the last time he killed Elder Shui Han. His strength could be said to have increased by leaps and bounds. This guess really scared Xian Tianji, because this kind of growth was too terrifying. Xian Tianji definitely wouldn't believe that there could be such a fast cultivation progress in this age of chaos. Even if the hidden killer used the missing people as blood food, it would be impossible for his strength to improve so quickly. Because according to Xian Tianji's understanding, it was good to be able to absorb 1% of the essence of refining blood food. It was impossible for him to grow so quickly. He immediately rejected this guess. But then another possibility popped up in Xian Tianji's mind. What if the killer had the ability to refine blood food 100%? This was the only way to explain how the hidden killer could grow so quickly. In order to find out where the problem was, Xian Tianji had been running around the missing people's areas for the past few days and began to investigate. In the end, he really found a clue, and that was in the water grass cave where Elder Shui Han disappeared. He found traces of dried white brain on the ground. After finding traces of dried brain, Xian Tianji was even more sure of his guess. Obviously, a battle had broken out here. Although it was not clear whether the brain belonged to Elder Shui Han or the hunter, since the brain had been beaten out, why was there no blood? This already showed that the hidden killer had the ability to devour blood and was growing in this way. Although these clues could not directly help Xian Tianji find the hidden killer, it gave Xian Tianji a direction to investigate. At this time, Xian Tianji also felt a sense of urgency, because the hidden killer was growing rapidly. He had to find the killer before he was strong enough to kill him. After the investigation, Xian Tianji thought of the possibility of an enemy invasion, but this guess was quickly overturned. After all, there was blood food in the big cities in the outside world. Why would someone come all the way to the Black Prison sect territory and start growing by devouring odd job workers? It was very likely that it was done by someone inside. So Xian Tianji thought of the elders in the sect, but after thinking about it carefully, Xian Tianji could not help but shake his head. Because if those elders really had this ability, then he would definitely not be the sect leader. There was no need to endure for decades to do this. It was not an enemy, not an elder, but it was very likely that it was done by someone in the Black Prison sect. These clues made Xian Tianji start to investigate the recent events in the sect. After this investigation, Xian Tianji suddenly realized where the problem was. Among the recent events in the Black Prison sect, there was such an event, and that was that he announced that all odd job workers would start using the virtual reality helmet to help him earn soul coins. Xian Tianji was very clear about what was in the game battle online. There were adventures in it, and even some big opportunities that could affect reality. And the disappearance incident only happened half a month after all the disciples and odd job workers started using the virtual reality helmet. This time, Xian Tianji's thoughts suddenly became clear. At this time, Xian Tianji had already realized that the disciples or odd job workers of the sect must have obtained a big opportunity in the game and obtained a powerful cultivation technique. Thinking of this, Xian Tianji's heart surged with strong jealousy. After all, he had worked hard for months in the game to no avail, but someone else in the sect obtained it in just half a month. He was very indignant. After knowing the reason, Xian Tianji changed the direction of his investigation. He no longer looked for clues in reality, but turned the direction of his search to the game. Starting from the official forum, he scrolled forward day by day to see if there were any big opportunities that appeared in the server announcement. Xian Tianji was undoubtedly very smart, and his direction of investigation was very correct. Soon, he found a post that was posted by a player a month ago. "Come out and show me your great art of seizing foundation. The name of this technique is a bit interesting. It makes me inexplicably scared." Laughing emoji. Great art of seizing foundation. Xian Tianji was now sure that this was the cultivation technique that the hunter had learned. After learning this cultivation technique, he began to hunt in the real world. Then, Xian Tianji continued to read forward. He needed an accurate target, and these players' posts could provide him with clues. In the search, Xian Tianji quickly found another surprise. Technique? Damn, this is the first time it appeared. "Come out and show off. Big boss, satisfy our curiosity." Beating drums. Server announcement. Congratulations to player Black Tiger for obtaining the godly technique Great Art of Seizing Foundation. Seeing the screenshot in this post, Xian Tianji laughed out loud because this was exactly what he wanted. With a name, he would not have to worry about not being able to find the hidden hunter. At this time, Xian Tianji was already sure that it was not done by the sect disciples, because he knew the names of all the sect disciples. Now, the final clues all pointed to the handyman. However, he was not familiar with the handyman. After all, in Xian Tianji's eyes, the handyman was just livestock. There was no need to know their names. However, the disciples in charge were very familiar with the names of the handyman they were in charge of, so it was not difficult to find this handyman named Black Tiger. In the evening, the elder's call came from inside the sect, and all the disciples, including the handyman, quickly rushed to the front of the sect. After all the handyman and disciples arrived, Xian Tianji personally came forward this time, and without any delay, he asked directly, "Who's the name Black Tiger here?" Xian Tianji's question stunned the handyman and disciples. At this time, Xian Tianji spoke again. "Who's the name Black Tiger here?" At this moment, sweat was dripping from Black Tiger's forehead. He did not know where he had exposed himself, and because he had to draw the blood sacrifice array recently, even the frequency of his hunting had decreased. Logically speaking, he should not have exposed himself. At this time, Black Tiger was completely unaware that the players on the official forum had already sold him out. "Sect leader, may I know why you were looking for this person?" An elder next to him asked with some doubt. "He's the assassin in the dark." Xian Tianji's words were shocking, and all the sect disciples and handyman were in an uproar. Hearing this, Black Tiger's heart skipped a beat. The hope in his heart was gone, and the only thought in his mind was to escape. At this time, the handyman standing next to Black Tiger suddenly spread out, exposing him. These handymen were naturally familiar with Black Tiger, and before the disciple in charge could speak, they had already sold him out. Chapter 341. After the odd job workers dispersed, Black Tiger, who was standing in the same place, was particularly eye-catching and became the focus of everyone's attention. At this moment, Black Tiger's face was pale. Although he wanted to escape, he was surrounded by Black Jail sect disciples, elders, and sect leader. It was impossible for him to escape with his strength. That's right, evil demon god. Thinking of evil demon god, Black Tiger seemed to have grasped at a life-saving straw. He roared wildly in his mind, hoping that evil demon god could help him. However, no matter how Black Tiger roared, evil demon god did not respond. Seeing Black Tiger standing in the same place, Xian Tianji smiled. He walked down the stairs towards Black Tiger step by step. The surrounding disciples and odd job workers quickly dispersed to make a path. Xian Tianji did not intend to kill Black Tiger just like that, because he had a great opportunity in the game. How could he not covet a skill that could improve his strength so quickly in the age of chaos? Although Black Tiger had to die, he had to wait until he squeezed out all of Black Tiger's value. Arriving in front of Black Tiger, Xian Tianji smiled slightly. The great method of seizing foundation. Black Tiger was shocked and blurted out, "How did you know?" Hearing Black Tiger admit it, Xian Tianji was secretly happy and looked at Black Tiger's eyes with naked desire. With this skill, he believed that he would no longer be troubled by not being able to break through to the next realm. He had even made plans to do the same after Black Tiger died, to devour all the odd job workers and disciples of the Black Jail sect and make them stepping stones on his path to becoming stronger. Thinking of this, Xian Tianji made his move. He reached out and grabbed Black Tiger's right shoulder and pressed down hard. A huge force hit him. Black Tiger could not resist at all and knelt on the ground. Knowing that he was going to die, the fear in Black Tiger's eyes dissipated. There was only madness in his expression. He immediately raised his hand and smashed it towards Xian Tianji's leg. Bang! The fist and leg collided, and Black Tiger's body flew out. The surrounding odd job workers retreated when they saw this. Obviously, they did not want to be involved. Although Black Tiger's strength had grown by leaps and bounds in about a month, he was still much weaker than Xian Tianji, who had cultivated for decades. It could be said that Black Tiger had crushed him in all aspects. Hu, who was unwilling to give up, stood up and turned around, wanting to escape. However, just as he turned around, he saw a Black Jail sect elder dressed in a purple robe standing behind him with a cold expression. Then he kicked him in the chest, once again kicking him back in front of Xian Tianji. At this time, Xian Tianji slowly squatted down and looked at Black Tiger with a smile. I said that you have to hand in everything you get in the game. Have you forgotten? I was so close to killing all of you. I was just one step away. What a pity. After saying that, Black Tiger spat out a mouthful of filthy blood. With an indifferent expression, he slowly got up. At this point in time, the evil demonic god, the only person they could rely on, could not recover. It could be said that the situation was hopeless, and Black Tiger was no longer afraid. Do you want the Foundation seizing Grand Magic? Black Tiger asked with a ferocious smile. The hearts of Xian Tianji and the other elders in the surroundings shook when they heard this. The surrounding elders were originally wondering why Xian Tianji did not directly kill Black Tiger. This was completely not in line with his style of doing things. However, now they understood, and their hearts surged with desire. Don't you want to talk about conditions? Xian Tianji seemed a little surprised. Talk about conditions with you? Don't tease me. Can I guarantee that I will talk about conditions with a beast like you? Black Tiger sneered. Ha ha ha. That's right. So what do you think now? The smile on Xian Tianji's face became even wider. If I said that I want to give you the cultivation method now, would you believe me? Black Tiger said indifferently. At this time, Black Tiger already knew that his life was in danger, but at this moment, he really wanted to hand over the cultivation method to Xian Tianji. Because he knew that as long as Xian Tianji cultivated this cultivation method, he would definitely come into contact with the evil demonic god. As for the evil demonic god who created this evil cultivation method, Black Tiger actually never believed him. However, he had to do this. He longed to become stronger, and even more longed to get rid of his current shackles. How could he get an advantage for no reason when making a deal with a demon? He would definitely pay a huge price. Black Tiger had long understood this principle. However, he was willing to feed the tiger with his body, as long as he could become stronger. Looking at Xian Tianji, whose eyes were full of desire, Black Tiger suddenly felt a little carefree in his heart. He seemed to see the scene of Xian Tianji being devoured by the evil demonic god one day in the future, and he couldn't help but smile. I will give it to you now. Do you dare to take it? Black Tiger continued to smile hideously. Follow me. Xian Tianji looked indifferent. He turned around and walked up the mountain. Black Tiger was not afraid. He raised his foot and followed. Sect leader. Sect leader. Seeing this, the other elders on the side couldn't help but speak, their eyes full of desire. Hearing this, Xian Tianji turned around. Junior brothers, don't worry. After I check the authenticity of the cultivation method and confirm that it is real, I will definitely tell you the cultivation method. After saying this, Xian Tianji once again turned around and stepped on the steps of the mountain gate, but his eyes were full of killing intent. These elders might not know the value of this cultivation method, but how could he not know after careful investigation? Moreover, he clearly knew how to become stronger after practicing this cultivation method. At this time, in Xian Tianji's eyes, these junior brothers and disciples of the sect, including all the chores, had long been a stepping stone for him after he obtained the cultivation method. Following Xian Tianji step by step up the mountain, it took them a few hours to arrive at the top of the mountain where Xian Tianji lived. Xian Tianji walked to a futon and sat down. He pointed to the futon not far away to Black Tiger, indicating that he should sit down. Hey, who was not reserved at all. He walked over and sat down. Go ahead, I'm listening. Without any hesitation, Black Tiger began to describe the path of his spiritual energy entering his body. He even personally demonstrated it for Xian Tianji to observe. Xian Tianji listened carefully and then began to try again and again. However, he couldn't absorb the spiritual energy into his body like Black Tiger said, which made him frown. Xian Tianji, who was unwilling to give up, put aside his complicated thoughts and began to cultivate according to Black Tiger's instructions again. However, while cultivating, he remained vigilant to prevent Black Tiger from making a sneak attack. However, Black Tiger had no intention of making a move at all. He sincerely wanted to teach Xian Tianji the great method of foundation snatching. Because he knew that a person like Xian Tianji, who looked kind on the surface but was actually cruel and merciless, would also walk the same path as him after obtaining the great method of foundation snatching. Everyone in the Black Prison sect would still be refined alive by the blood sacrifice array. The only difference was that it would be a different person. However, to Black Tiger's surprise, Xian Tianji tried several times, but was unable to cultivate the great method of foundation snatching. Black Tiger was also a little surprised. At this time, the voice of the evil demon god sounded in Black Tiger's mind. Do you know why he can't cultivate it? Hearing the voice of the evil demon god again, Black Tiger was surprised and couldn't help but ask, why? Because only when you die can he cultivate this cultivation method. As if understanding that Black Tiger didn't understand, the evil demon god continued. Because I've already been born, naturally there won't be a second me. So only when you die and your soul perishes at the same time as me, then he can successfully cultivate the great method of foundation snatching, and I will also be reborn on his soul. Why are you telling me this? Black Tiger asked after a moment of silence. Because I have decided to make a move in advance. Although you are ruthless and crazy enough, you are still trash. You are really wasting my time. The evil demon god's hoarse voice continued to reverberate in Black Tiger's mind. When Black Tiger heard this, his heart trembled. Just as he was about to say something, he felt a sharp pain in his head. This kind of pain did not come from the body, but from the soul. At this moment, the evil demon god's consciousness was slowly nibbling away at Black Tiger's consciousness, occupying his soul bit by bit. This kind of pain at the soul level far exceeded the pain of the body. Even Black Tiger, who had long since become indifferent to life and death, could not help but scream. Like Black Tiger, the evil demon god also felt the pain that made his soul tremble, but he did not scream. Instead, he laughed out loud. Originally, he wanted to let Black Tiger slowly collect his wandering consciousness during cultivation, and when his consciousness gradually grew stronger, he would then take over Black Tiger's soul. This was because his consciousness would be slowly worn away during the process of taking over. Without enough consciousness to support it, he would not be able to successfully take over Black Tiger's soul. However, the evil demon god's consciousness had already reached the requirements for taking over 3 days ago, but he still did not choose to take over Black Tiger's soul. This was because after knowing about Battle Online, a game that connected the realms of the living and the dead, the evil demon god felt that it was too risky to take over Black Tiger's soul directly. He did not want to be restricted by Bei Li after the successful takeover. Therefore, he still needed to accumulate strength until he had the ability to erase the taboo imprint on Black Tiger's soul. This was the only way he could obtain a soul without any restrictions. Although he had been hiding in Black Tiger's soul, the evil demon god had always been searching for the taboo imprint in Black Tiger's soul. However, just now he was surprised to find the taboo imprint and began to try to destroy it with his consciousness. This was also the reason why he did not answer Black Tiger's question. Just now he succeeded. The taboo imprint in Black Tiger's soul was destroyed. In other words, Black Tiger's soul would no longer be controlled by the person behind the game that connected the realms of the living and the dead. Since the time was ripe, the evil demon god did not need to hide anything anymore. Death bared its fangs, and the soul erosion began. Black Tiger's soul began to be occupied by the evil demon god bit by bit. Looking at Black Tiger, who was struggling and roaring on the ground, Xian Tianji suddenly stopped cultivating and stood up. "What's wrong with you?" Black Tiger naturally could not answer. He continued to scream. His voice was mournful, and his voice gradually became hoarse as he roared, as if he was suffering some kind of inhuman torture. Seeing this, Xian Tianji quickly went forward and grabbed Black Tiger. The spiritual energy in his body seeped into Black Tiger's skin, trying to investigate the current condition of Black Tiger's body. "Get lost!" A roar exploded in Xian Tianji's mind, causing his body to sway and finally fall to the ground. The sudden voice shocked Xian Tianji. He sat on the ground for a few seconds before coming to his senses. The voice just now did not belong to Black Tiger. Xian Tianji was sure of this. Taking over? This word suddenly appeared in Xian Tianji's mind. Although he had never seen taking over, the books passed down in the Black Jail sect also recorded the situation of taking over, and it was a compulsory method for the former disciples of the Black Jail sect. This scene was very similar to the taking over described in the ancient books of the sect. Thinking of this, Xian Tianji suddenly felt that something was wrong. He immediately got up, gathered spiritual energy in the center of his palm into a sword, and slashed at Black Tiger's head fiercely. A cloud of black mist overflowed from the top of Black Tiger's head and collided with the spiritual energy stored in Xian Tianji's palm. There was no sound at the point of collision, but Xian Tianji was shocked to find that the spiritual energy sword in his palm was being corroded by the black mist little by little, and it was spreading toward his palm. Seeing this, Xian Tianji quickly cut off the connection with the spiritual energy sword, so as not to be affected by the corrosive black mist. The spiritual energy sword that fell to the ground was corroded by the black mist in a moment, and the black mist floated back into Black Tiger's body. Looking at Black Tiger, who was still roaring and struggling, Xian Tianji suddenly did not dare to attack. Although he was cruel and merciless, he was actually very afraid of death. Just like when he encountered Qi Ming, as long as he could live, he could beg for mercy or even kneel down. In the face of such a strange opponent, he naturally did not dare to fight with his life. So Xian Tianji had the idea of escaping. But at this moment, Black Tiger, lying on the ground, suddenly stopped struggling, then slowly stood up from the ground and looked at him with a hideous smile. "Who are you?" Xian Tianji looked fierce, but he was afraid. "You're going to be a dead man soon. What's the use of knowing?" The evil devil god, who had completely occupied Black Tiger's soul, laughed. Xian Tianji was about to speak, but the evil devil god did not give him chance. With a wave of his hand, a cloud of black mist appeared and clung to Xian Tianji's body. At this moment, the surface of Xian Tianji's body was densely covered with a blood-colored spider web, and the refinement began in an instant. Feeling his flesh and blood melting bit by bit, Xian Tianji screamed, and his body shrank at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a while, Xian Tianji, who once claimed to be the strongest cultivator in the world, turned into a blood pill and was sucked into the evil devil god's mouth. After doing all this, the evil devil god turned around and looked at the rolling clouds below the mountain peak, laughing out loud. What he had to do next was to continue to complete the blood sacrifice formation and then devour the entire Black Hell sect. After that, he would make Bei Li suffer a fate worse than death. Thinking that he had accidentally found out Bei Li's secret, the evil devil god was very happy at this moment, very happy, because he had thought of a way to make Bei Li fall into eternal damnation without shedding blood. With the existence of the Treaty of the Three Realms, as long as the people from the Heaven Realm knew about Bei Li connecting the Yin and Yang realms and secretly building an army, she would definitely die. Her body and soul would be destroyed, and she would never be able to rise again. because those guys from the heaven realm would never let go of Bailey, who was a great threat, and would never give her a chance to reincarnate. Bailey, the leader of the Bakey celestial clan, had always been a huge rock pressing on his heart. Millions of years ago, they had fought a total of 3 times, and he had lost all 3 times in the heaven and earth chess game. At this moment, the evil devil god still clearly remembered Bailey's disdainful words. "You want to become an extraterrestrial demon and kill the great emperor? Are you retarded?" In order to prove his strength, he had set up 3 games to fight against Bailey. However, it turned out that even though they were both ancient gods, Bailey's strength was far beyond his, and he could not compete with her at all. In the last game, he even ended up with his body and soul destroyed. In fact, when the last game started, the evil devil god already knew that he would lose, but he still challenged her. This was because he had pinned his last hope on the foundation stealing technique. As long as Bailey tried to cultivate it, he would be able to live in her soul, and one day, he would take over her body. As long as he succeeded in taking over her body, he would still be the final winner. After being resurrected again, the obsession in the evil devil god's heart had not dissipated. He wanted to defeat Bailey once, to pursue his unfulfilled dream, to kill the great emperor, and then become the extraterrestrial demon that many forces outside the realm feared, just like the ancient emperor Tumia. After laughing maniacally, the evil devil god's eyes burned with fighting spirit. "But I won't do that because I want to defeat you with my own hands." The 4th game of the heaven and earth chess game has begun. Your plan is to connect the 2 realms and create a secret army. So my first step is to destroy it. This time, I'll be in the dark and you'll be in the light. I hope you can be as powerful as you were before. Just as the evil devil god was thinking about how to destroy Bailey's plan and fight her again, a black hole suddenly appeared beside him. A small hand as white as jade reached out from it. "Grab! Grab! Grab!" While the evil devil god was stunned, the small hand grabbed his hair and pulled him into the black hole. Chapter 342. The appearance of the space passage caught the evil devil god off guard. When he finally reacted, he was already dragged into the space passage. However, what frightened the evil devil god was not the appearance of the space passage, but the feedback from the soul. A burning mark appeared on his soul, and it was this mark that made him unable to resist the suction from the space passage. His body kept shuttling through the passage. Seeing this mark, the evil devil god was in disbelief. To ensure that he would not be restricted after seizing the soul, he carefully examined Black Tiger's soul. He only started seizing after erasing the taboo and confirming that there were no problems. But why did the mark appear again? The evil devil god thought of a possibility. The taboo that he found earlier was a fake to bait him. That was the only way he could seize Black Tiger's soul without any precaution. At this moment, a black circle appeared at the end of the space passage, and his body was sent into the artifact space. He looked up and saw 2 figures, one tall and one short, smiling at him from not far away. The evil devil god was on high alert. He glanced at Lu Wu before shifting his gaze to Bailey. His pupils suddenly shrank. Previously, he had guessed that this was all part of the goddess of Bailey's plan, but he was not sure. After seeing little Bailey, he confirmed his guess. He was very familiar with little Bailey. Although he did not know her identity, she had always been inseparable from the goddess of Bakey. Is it really Bailey? Where is she? The evil devil god's eyes were filled with hatred. He did not expect to lose this round before it even started. From the evil devil god's point of view, Bailey must have set this up and was just waiting for him to resurrect. Hearing this, Bailey smiled and poked Lu Wu with her hand. "That's him." The evil devil god was stunned. He took a deep look at Lu Wu and said in a deep voice, "I'm asking about the goddess of Bakey that you have been following, Bailey." Although he did not want to admit it, Lu Wu nodded. "That's me." Reincarnated? The evil devil god immediately thought of the problem, but he frowned. "No, you don't have her divine seal in your body. You can't be her reincarnation. The divine seal has been destroyed. I was indeed Bailey in my previous life. I have no reason to lie to you," Lu Wu answered calmly. "Bailey's divine seal is destroyed. The evil barbarian god was stunned when he heard this. He did not dare to believe that Bei Li had reincarnated. In his opinion, unless a great emperor was involved, no one would have the absolute power to force Bei Li to reincarnate. However, the evil barbarian god was completely stunned when he heard that Bei Li's divine seal had been destroyed. Tell me why? The evil barbarian god asked with a malevolent expression. Bei Li was a strong enemy that he acknowledged. He had always wanted to win against her. However, when he heard what she said, he did not feel happy at all. All he felt was endless anger. Since Bei Li was no longer around, did that mean that he no longer had the chance to win against her? He could only be defeated by her for the rest of his life. You should know the reason. She once tried to recruit you, but you refused. The heaven-defying alliance? The evil Fian Celestial's eyes flickered with astonishment. Bei Li nodded. She has never treated you as an opponent. In her eyes, you are all gods on the underworld god list, so you should unite to fight against the heaven realm. She's courting death. The evil barbarian god snorted coldly. But she has the courage. Do you? Bei Li looked at the evil barbarian god with disdain. Those who walk different paths cannot make plans together. Just because I don't go against the heavens doesn't mean that I don't have the courage. My goal is to destroy those great emperors who control the underworld but do nothing. Then, I will pursue the great way of the heavenly demon. Without the desperate battle between the primordial gods and the heaven realm, you might just be a prisoner of the heaven realm. How about you talk about dreams and pursuits? You must understand that the reason you can pursue your dreams is because the primordial gods are carrying the burden for you. The Treaty of the Three Realms allowed the three realms to return to peace. However, do you know that this peace was bought with the blood of the immortal ancient underworld gods? And what she inherited was the dying wish of the immortal ancient god. As long as she is here, the heaven realm will never relax. There are some things that you have to fight for yourself. When the strength of both sides is not equal, peace cannot last forever. You have lived for so long. Don't you understand this principle? Bei Li's angry rebuke was like a blow to the head, causing the evil devil god's expression to become complicated. Before the Treaty of the Three Realms was signed, the heaven realm, as the final winner, proposed a series of unequal treaties. However, even though the ancient underworld gods were at a disadvantage, they did not bow down and chose to continue fighting. Although the current Treaty of the Three Realms was still unfair, it was bought with the blood of the ancient underworld gods. The price of resistance was tragic, but it was also their sacrifice that forged the peaceful years of the underworld. Looking at the evil devil god, Bei Li continued to speak softly. There has to be one person who has to step forward, and that's what she did. She hoped that more gods would have the courage to be with her, and that's why she found you. Do you really think that she wants to play some chess game with you? What do you mean? The evil devil god's expression suddenly froze. You've lost all 3 heaven and earth chess games, but you survived. Bei Li chuckled. That's because I have the ability to survive. Do you really think that Bei Li can't bear to kill me? The evil devil god was suddenly furious. Bei Li's words had completely provoked him. In the first round, you used 2 large territories as a chessboard and started a war of territories. You lost, but you didn't die. That's because I used a wisp of evil thought to die for me. The evil devil god scoffed. But did you know that the wisp of evil thought didn't die either? Because she never intended to kill you. Bei Li chuckled. Impossible. The evil devil god roared angrily. Bei Li did not explain and continued to speak. In the second round, you used the heaven and earth chess game to start a war of the heaven and earth chess game. Each of you controlled a wisp of the tribe's destiny. You lost, but you didn't die. That's because I used the blood demon ancient altar to bear the backlash of the heaven and earth chess game for me. In the end, the ancient altar shattered, but I survived. But did you know that the blood demon ancient altar didn't shatter at all? It's also because she didn't want to kill you. Bei Li continued to chuckle. Do you think I'll believe you? The evil devil god's eyes grew colder. Bei Li shook her head lightly and waved her hand. 3 ancient altars appeared on the ground. Bei Li had obtained these 3 ancient altars from the Naraka realm instance dungeon. There were also things that Yi Chun, Yi Shui, and the others have looked down on. The evil devil god was shocked when he saw the 3 ancient altars. At this time, Bailey waved her hand again, and an image appeared in the artifact space. In the image, the evil king was chatting with Li Xing with a smile on his face. The evil devil god was so shocked that he was speechless when he saw the evil king. This wisp of evil thoughts was separated from him before he became a god. It had always been by his side until he lost the heaven and earth chess game. How could he not recognize it? What about the 3rd round? If she didn't want to kill me, why did I die in the 3rd round of the Battle of Heaven and Earth chess game? The evil devil god's expression was ferocious. The 3rd round was the Battle of Heaven, and you were devoured by the Heaven and Earth chess game. She couldn't protect you, but she knew that you would be resurrected and knew about your plan. Bailey looked at the evil devil god, who was in shock, and continued to speak. After you lost in the 3rd round, you erected 2 tombstones for yourself and carved the foundation snatching technique on them, hoping that one day you would be able to resurrect by possessing her body. How could she not know about that? However, she didn't destroy the 2 tombstones. Instead, she placed one of them in your death garden and the other at the border of 2 large territories, giving you a chance to resurrect. Do you understand now? Evil devil god. Bailey's eyes were cold as she finished her sentence. Lu Wu suddenly felt sorry for Bailey, who was completely different from before. He could not help but reach out and pat her little head. At this moment, the evil demon god was completely stunned on the spot. He could not accept the fact that the opponent he wanted to defeat the most had secretly bypassed him time and time again. He could not believe that Bailey had actually never thought of accepting his challenge at all. What about this time? Did she arrange everything after my resurrection? The evil devil god asked with a complicated expression. Bailey shook her head. Everything is a coincidence. She's been reincarnated a long time ago, and her goal has always been the heavenly realm. She never liked internal strife. Is it a coincidence? The evil devil god mumbled. Then why did you bring me here? She has always wanted you to follow her, Bailey said solemnly. After 1,000,000 years, this is the 4th time. On behalf of the goddess of Baiki, Bailey, I would like to extend an invitation to you. Are you willing to go against the heavens with me? At the end of her sentence, the cute and obedient Bay, Li had a domineering aura. Lu was dumbfounded. Hearing this, the evil devil god was struggling internally. His mind was in a mess, but the hostility in his heart kept surging. Suddenly, the evil devil god raised his head with a ferocious expression. That is her goal. Even if she did not kill me 3 times, I will not remember her kindness. What bullsh asterisk T about going against the heavens has nothing to do with me, the evil devil god. Even if the underworld collapses, it has nothing to do with me. My goal has always been the extraterrestrial world. Hearing the evil devil god's words, Lu Wu was speechless. He was even more upset that he did not strangle this **starred in his previous life. Thinking of this, Lu Wu looked at Bei Li to see what she was going to do. At this moment, Bei Li's aura dissipated. She looked at Lu Wu and spread her hands. The negotiation has broken down. Then what should we do? If the soft approach doesn't work, then the hard approach will work, Bailey said and made a gesture of wielding a sword. Chapter 343. Faced with the evil demon deity that refused to listen to her, Bailey did not waste any more words. With a wave of her hand, the power of the god weapon appeared and lifted the evil demon deity up into the air, restraining it. The evil barbarian god immediately began to struggle, trying to break free from this restraint. However, even though his consciousness was struggling, his soul did not move at all. Stop struggling. Your soul has been branded with an indelible mark. You can't get rid of it, Bailey said with a smile. Then I'll give up my soul. After saying that, the wicked barbarian god closed his eyes and began to control his consciousness to tear apart his own soul. At that moment, the wicked barbarian god's thoughts were very simple. As long as his soul was gone, he would be free. When that time came, he would just have to wait for the next person who cultivated the foundation, stealing great art. He would still have a chance to be resurrected. However, What shocked the evil barbarian god was that his soul could not be torn apart. He immediately realized that there was something strange about this space. It could actually protect his soul from being destroyed. 6 paths of reincarnation. The evil demon god opened his eyes abruptly, and a look of shock appeared on his face. If it wasn't for the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation, it would be impossible for the soul to become so strong, because the 6 paths of reincarnation was the home of the souls in the Yin world. Even when he was brought here, the evil barbarian god wasn't as shocked as he was right now, because he knew very well what the 6 paths of reincarnation represented. You have some knowledge. You won't die. Lu Wu couldn't help but laugh, using the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation to create a space. How did Bailey do it? The evil barbarian god was in disbelief. I did it, Bailey said proudly. The shock in the evil demon deity's eyes deepened as he looked at Bailey. Although he knew of Lil Bei Li's existence, he had always regarded her as a follower of the goddess of Beiki, Bailey. He had never paid attention to her, but he did not expect her to be so capable. How did you do it? Even a great emperor can only drive the 6 paths of reincarnation, but they can't use the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation to forge their own things. Who are you? The evil demon god roared at Bailey. Upon hearing the evil demon god's question, Lu Wu pricked up his ears, feeling extremely curious. Lu Wu had already guessed that this artifact was not made by his ancestor, Lu Yin. During his gradual growth, he had also come into contact with many powerhouses. Although his ancestor was the king of Beiki, he was only in the Ghost King realm. How could he have the ability to create such a heaven-defying artifact? Only the mysterious Bei Li could do it. I'm not telling you, Li. Bailey stuck out her tongue and replied. Lu Wu and the evil devil god pulled a long face at the same time. Even if you've mastered the 6 paths of reincarnation, so what? I have the divine seal on me, and I'm a god on the underworld list. I'm also an existence recognized by the 6 paths of reincarnation. If you want to use the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation to erase my memory, you'll have to erase my divine seal first. Can you do that? Knowing that he would not be able to escape death, the wicked barbarian deity showed no fear. Instead, he continued to roar with a savage expression. It's no big deal. It's just a memory modification. Bailey waved her hand proudly. Seeing that Bailey had started to show off, Lu Wu, who had been idling by the side, could not help but want to cheer for Bailey by cheering her on. You can erase the divine seal? The wicked barbarian deity looked solemn. Although he did not believe it, Bailey was too mysterious. But I won't do that, because without the divine seal, your value will be greatly reduced. Therefore, I have to find another way. I'll keep your divine seal, then destroy you and create a new god with your divine seal. Bailey put on a white coat that Lu Wu was very familiar with as she spoke. Ha ha! Do you really think that I'll believe you? Trying to threaten me and make me submit? Do you really think that I, the wicked barbarian deity, am a fool? Hearing that Bailey would keep the divine seal and erase his memory, the wicked barbarian deity laughed out loud. He was a little worried before, but after hearing what she said, he was sure that Bailey was just bluffing him. His consciousness was the divine seal, and it was impossible to keep the divine seal but erase his consciousness. Hey, even a frog at the bottom of a well doesn't believe that there's a bigger world outside the well, Bailey said as she waved her hand. As Bailey spoke, she waved her hand, and a figure slowly condensed in the artifact space, gradually turning into a human form. The evil king, who appeared here, was a little dumbfounded. He glanced at Lu Wu and then at Bailey, but when he saw the wicked barbarian deity imprisoned in mid-air, his eyes suddenly widened. What do you think, evil king? I told you that you'll get a lot of benefits if you follow us. Bailey continued to show off. The only thing missing was a cigarette in her mouth and a pair of sunglasses on her face. Wicked barbarian deity. Seeing the wicked barbarian deity in mid-air, the evil king's body trembled uncontrollably. This was because this was his former master, a real god of the underworld. Moreover, he was an extremely powerful ancient god among the gods, and also a shadow in the evil king's heart. Before obtaining a physical body, he was just the evil thought of the wicked barbarian deity and was never a complete existence. Perhaps one day, when the wicked barbarian deity returned, he would once again become an appendage. What are you afraid of? He used you to block death. You should hate him now. Lu Wu instigated in a low voice. I'm no match for him. Although he already had his own physical body, the evil king's fear of the wicked barbarian deity was innate. Obviously, he could not muster up the courage to attack the wicked barbarian deity. I'll back you up. Lu Wu patted the evil king's shoulder and said with determination. Upon seeing this, Bailey wanted to imitate Lu Wu and pat the evil king's shoulder to encourage him. However, she was not tall enough, so she tiptoed and hammered the evil king's waist. He's just a wisp of my evil thought. What's the point of summoning him here? The wicked barbarian deity's face was full of disdain. He's from the same origin as you, so let him devour your godly seal and take away your godhead. Then he'll still be recognized by the underworld god list, Bailey said confidently. Upon hearing this, the wicked barbarian deity's disdainful expression froze. The evil king was also dumbfounded. How could he not understand Bailey's words? She wanted him to devour the wicked barbarian deity and then take away his godly seal and the godhead of the underworld god list. To the evil king, this was insane. It's impossible for me to devour him. I'll be devoured. The evil king shook his head like a rattledrum. It was not easy for him to become a creature of the underworld. He did not want to die from the devouring. When Lu Wu and Bailey heard this, they both looked at the evil king with resentment. Don't be afraid. And she's here? Lu Wu wanted to show off, but he suddenly realized that he would not be of much help. So, he pointed at Bailey. Just devour him. His godly seal won't be able to resist. I'm here. I'll control the artifact to suppress his consciousness. You just have to devour him. Bailey continued to persuade him. Facing the evil king who was extremely afraid of the wicked barbarian deity, Lu Wu and Bailey could only try to persuade him. Really? After some persuasion, the evil king seemed to be a little tempted. Don't worry. It's just devouring and wicked barbarian deity. Go. No problem. Bailey made a cheering gesture. At this moment, the evil king looked at the wicked barbarian deity. Don't you dare. I'm your master. I'm the one who created you. The wicked barbarian deity, who was imprisoned in midair, glared at him. The aura on his body rose steadily. The monstrous, ferocious flame formed a purple mist that spread and contracted behind his back. Upon seeing this, Lu Wu snapped his fingers. The artifact was activated automatically, dispersing the ferocious flame behind the wicked barbarian deity. At the same time, it completely imprisoned his soul, preventing him from using any power. Old evil go, Lu Wu said to the evil king after everything was done. Although he was afraid, the evil king believed that Lu Wu and Bailey would not harm him. It was all thanks to the two of them that he could become a creature of the underworld. Moreover, he had sworn his loyalty to them back then. Now was the time to prove it. Thinking of this, the evil king clenched his teeth. A thick black mist was released from the top of his head, and he suddenly pounced on the wicked barbarian deity. His body, which was standing on the same spot, immediately fell to the ground. Don't you dare! The wicked barbarian deity was horrified and shouted angrily again. However, there was no way the evil king would stop at this point. He pounced on the wicked barbarian deity's body. His soul seeped into it and began to collide with the wicked barbarian deity's soul. At the instant the two souls came into contact, the world in evil king's eyes underwent an earth-shattering change. What appeared in front of him was the figure of an indomitable giant, and in front of this giant, he was as small as a speck of dust. However, he still mustered his courage and pounced on the giant, devouring it bit by bit. During the devouring process, the giant formed by the wicked barbarian deity's divine seal of consciousness began to shine. However, this ray of light was firmly suppressed by the artifact controlled by Bailey. It could not surge out of the body to kill the evil king who was still devouring it. This undoubtedly made the wicked barbarian deity extremely frustrated. The worm that he could kill with a single thought was now devouring him to grow. Stop! The divine seal giant roared angrily in the world of consciousness. However, the evil king ignored it and continued to devour the giant. The feeling of his consciousness gradually growing stronger made evil king feel comfortable all over. The more he ate, the more addicted he became, and his body was also growing bit by bit. At the same time, Bailey also closed her eyes and entered the space of consciousness. She controlled the power of the artifact to suppress the evil demon god's divine seal of consciousness, preventing him from attacking the evil king. The evil king's body grew larger as it devoured, and in the blink of an eye, it was already 4 to 5 meters tall. Although it still could not compare to the evil demon god's consciousness giant, its devouring speed had increased several times. At this moment, the fiend celestial panicked. From the fact that the consciousness that had been devoured did not reject the evil king, it could be seen that the evil king truly had the ability to inherit his divine seal. As long as the evil king's consciousness was larger than his own, the evil king would be recognized by the divine seal. At that time, the evil king would be the main body, and he would be the one who possessed it. Let's talk again. The evil fiend celestial began to roar. Right now, he no longer had any trump cards, so it was meaningless to continue resisting. Hence, he was afraid and wanted to talk to Lu Wu and Bailey again. Talk about what? What's there to talk about? Bailey's voice echoed in the space of consciousness. I agree. I'll go against the heavens with you. The evil king, who was originally very afraid of the evil demon god, immediately increased his devouring speed as he was afraid that Lu Wu and Bailey would agree to it. Evil demon god, this last chance was not given to you by me, but by her. I promised her that I would persuade you one more time after your resurrection. You've already used up the 4th chance, and she's long gone. I won't give you any more chances. Bailey's voice echoed in the space of consciousness. Upon hearing this, the evil king, who was devouring the evil demon god's consciousness, was elated. He knew that the divine seal was still his. Roar! The divine seal giant roared at the sky with a ferocious expression. He initially thought that resurrection was an opportunity for him to start over, but he did not expect that after a short rebirth, his soul and consciousness would be completely destroyed. The evil demon god was filled with indignation. At this moment, the evil king was growing faster and faster. He already had a body that was as large as a hill, and he could bite off a large piece of the divine seal's consciousness with every bite. As he continued to devour, a faint purple flame-shaped mark appeared on the evil king's forehead, and it gradually deepened. Meanwhile, the evil demon god's consciousness began to dissipate, slaying the great emperor, proving the heavenly devil. Before his consciousness dissipated, the evil demon god was still thinking about his crazy pursuit and dream. However, in the end, he remembered how Bailey had mocked his dream back then. Chapter 344. Everything was settled. Under Bailey's suppression, the evil devil god could not resist the evil king's devouring even though he had the consciousness of the god's seal. As he devoured, the evil king's consciousness continued to expand, and the purple, burning divine seal on his forehead became clearer. In contrast, the evil demon god's divine seal became dimmer and dimmer. Looking at the fall of an ancient god, Bailey's eyes were filled with disappointment and pity. However, when she thought of Lu Wu, her gaze became extremely determined. I'll always be with you on the endless path of reincarnation. I'll get you whatever you want, Bailey murmured. At this time, the evil king's body was already so large that it could stand shoulder to shoulder with the evil demon god. With each bite, he could tear off a large mass of the evil demon god's consciousness. In the end, the evil demon god's consciousness divine seal was finally unable to condense because it was too incomplete, and it collapsed with a loud bang. Even the body of the evil demon god's consciousness collapsed, turning into a mass of consciousness clouds. At this moment, the purple burning divine seal on the evil king's forehead flickered with 10,000 rays of light. The evil king was extremely excited as he sensed the huge consciousness in his body. What are you waiting for? Don't waste it. Bailey's voice echoed above their heads. When the Diablo heard that, he focused his attention and looked at the dispersing consciousness cloud of the Diablo god. Then, he opened his mouth and took a deep breath. Amidst the whirlwind, countless consciousness balls surged into the evil king's mouth like rivers flowing into the sea, causing the purple divine seal on his forehead to shine even brighter. At this moment, Bailey took out the booklet that she always carried with her from her pocket. Evil King, you've already mastered the laws of Nether, ghost, stealth, undying, and blood sacrifice. You've even condensed the divine seal and gained the recognition of the 6 paths of reincarnation. Today, I will create a new Een God board and make you the first Een God. Are you willing? As she spoke, the booklet in Bailey's hand underwent a huge change. It turned into a scroll that was formed by a 5-colored radiance. Looking at Bailey, who was floating in the space of his consciousness, the evil king was so shocked that he was speechless. Bailey was apatheizing. Moreover, it was a new Een God list that was created when there was already an Een God list in the Netherworld. The power to control the 6 paths of reincarnation was already incredible to the evil king. Now he was completely stunned. This was because the combination of Bailey's ability to recast the underworld god list and the power to control the 6 Tao of Samsara meant that Bailey had the ability to create a brand new underworld. This ability had completely exceeded the evil king's imagination. Back then, he had always thought that Bailey and Lu Wu were as mysterious and majestic as the great emperor. However, from the evil king's point of view, Bailey's current technique was something that even the great emperor could not achieve. Bailey King looked at the king with a serious, waiting for his reply. Li, I am willing to accept the new list of Een gods and become the first Een God. As he spoke, the Diablo knelt down on one knee. At the same time that the Diablo said that he was willing, a spark floated out of his forehead and quickly entered the new Een God ranking. A mark of a purple flame appeared on the new Een God ranking, and words about the Diablo started to appear below it. Emperor King's body, he Spirit King's Li King. Kama Emperor, King Long King, Kama Xie King. King S King, the king after a long period of silence. The Diablo opened his eyes. He had already mastered the usage of the 5 types of laws and had completely comprehended them. Although his cultivation level had not increased, the evil king felt that he was extremely powerful. With the support of the god's seal and the help of the precepts, he felt that he was invincible below the level of deities. He felt that he could even stand up to those newborn deities. It was not blind confidence. Emperor King knew that he had the power. Thinking of this, the evil king's consciousness floated out of the now empty space of consciousness and returned to his soul. Then, he floated out of the black tiger's body and returned to his own body. Phew! Emperor King opened his eyes. The purple god seal appeared on his forehead. How do you feel? Lu Wu asked curiously. I don't feel that the realm is an obstacle. My power is comparable to a half-god. I can even compete with the newborn gods. Emperor King said excitedly. Lu Wu was happy to hear that. Although he had a large number of players under his command, he was still lacking in terms of high-end combat power. After all, the players' growth time was too short, and the strongest ones were only at the Ghost Commander intermediate stage. If they wanted to fight against those Ghost Kings and Ghost Emperors, they were still a long way off. However, it would no longer be the case from now on because the evil king, a deity who had been pardoned by the new Dark God leaderboard, would no longer be a threat to them, not even Yuanshu and Xingyao. It's not difficult to unify the land of Sangshu. Yuanshu is no match for me. The evil king continued to speak excitedly. Lu Wu shook his head when he heard that. It's best that you don't make a move unless it's the most critical moment. Why? Evil King was a little stunned. Although the Jiuyao army of the land of the 9 luminaries and the Yuanshu army of the land of Sangshu have the upper hand, I've never treated them as my enemies. They're just whetstones for the growth of the players. What I need is the growth of the players. The unification of the land of Sangshu does not benefit me at all. Upon hearing this, the evil king nodded in realization. So, I just have to maintain my previous strength. Yes, just maintain your previous strength and help the players grow. Only the players are the core, and they have unlimited potential. Now that I've created the new Dark God leaderboard, they are the future. Bailey walked to Lu Wu's side and said. Upon hearing this, Lu Wu smiled and rubbed Bei Li's little head. Indeed, Bailey knew him the best. The evil king was a little depressed. He initially thought that after obtaining the god's seal, he could vent his anger by torturing Yuanshu. He did not expect Lu Wu and Bei Li to ask him to continue being a babysitter for the players and take care of their growth. However, he had no choice. The evil king knew that everything he had was given to him by Lu Wu and Bei Li. He had no right to refuse, and he did not want to refuse these two benefactors and masters who had given him a new life. Everything he had now was something that the evil king did not even dare to imagine. However, in just over a month after his surrender, he had actually taken over the evil demon god's body and obtained everything that belonged to the evil demon god. The evil king cherished the feeling of turning over and becoming a master. All right, I understand. The evil king nodded vigorously. Then I'll send you back now, Lu Wu said as he activated the artifact. A circle of space passage appeared beside the evil king. The evil king nodded again and shot into the space passage. At this time, only Bei Li, Lu Wu, and the body of Black Tiger were left in the artifact space. What should we do with him? Lu Wu pointed at the body of Black Tiger. Obliterate? Bailey said after some thought. Upon hearing this, Lu Wu was silent for a while before he said, Can we make him into a cyborg like number 1? It's not difficult to make him into a cyborg, but he has to be a purely mechanical life because he no longer has a soul and is an empty shell. Number 1, on the other hand, has a soul. Don't we still have a lot of spare initial souls? Should we inject one into him? That's possible. Oh yeah, maybe we can use his soul. Bailey, who was about to answer, suddenly thought of something and smiled with her eyes squinted. Who's? Mu Zhiguang. The smile in Bei Li's eyes grew wider. Lu Wu was stunned when he heard this. During the battle with the Sea King Navy, Mu Zhiguang died because the Sea King's soul was shattered. However, his soul did not completely dissipate. Instead, it was collected and pieced together by Bei Li. However, if it wasn't for Bei Li's reminder, Lu Wu would have almost forgotten about Mu Zhiguang's existence. Chapter 345. After the death of the evil demon god, the crisis in reality had been resolved. As for Black Tiger's body, Lu Wu temporarily planned to use it as a new habitat for Mu Zhiguang's soul. However, Lu Wu had one more important thing to do before he started his plan to build a super soldier. And that was the launch of the May Day event. According to Battle Online's tradition, Lu Wu would launch a wave of activities and benefits for the players during the festive season. It was a day that the players were looking forward to. In the forum, the players were already guessing what Battle Online's activities would be during the May Day event. Amidst the anticipation of the players, Lu Wu opened the May Day event announcement at 12 noon. Server announcement, May Day event announcement details. Event 1, Warriors Medal, event details. Starting from 8 p.m. on May 1st to 12 p.m. on May 4th, there is a chance to drop the Crimson Medal, the Pale Blue Medal, and the Fiery Purple Medal by killing the soldiers of the 9 Luminaries army. Players who collect all 3 medals can exchange them for the title Warriors Proof in the event menu. Event tip, the medals can be traded. Extra medals can also be exchanged for the level 3 medicinal wine Intoxicating Breeze in the event menu. Event 2, Day and Night event details. Starting from 8 p.m. on May 1st to 12 p.m. on May 4th, all players will receive 3 free items from the system. Lucky Sapling X3, Untradeable, Destroyed, Item Details. This item can be planted anywhere in Beiki or the land of the 9 luminaries during the event. It can be watered with mystical spring water to grow. It must be watered every 2 hours, otherwise the lucky sapling will wither. After being watered 10 times, the lucky sapling will bear a lucky fruit. Eating it will give you soul coins, experience, time-limited buffs, elixirs, and rare equipment with a random chance. You can also choose to continue watering it. The lucky sapling will have a chance to bear a super lucky fruit, increasing the chance of getting rare items by 4 times. Watering pot, untradeable, destroyed. Item details. This item can be used in conjunction with a lucky sapling. Every hour, the watering pot will be refreshed with mystical spring water to help the lucky sapling grow. Absorption bucket, untradeable, destroyed. Item details. This item can be used on a luck sapling planted by another player. The user's body will be frozen for 3 minutes. During this period, the user cannot move, attack, or defend. After the extraction is successful, the target player's sapling will lose a portion of soul spring water, and the user will gain a portion of soul spring water. Event tip. The amount of spiritual spring water produced by the watering pot is extremely small. You can choose to steal the spiritual spring water from other players to speed up the growth of the sapling. Activity 3 and 5 quiz event details. During the May 1st event, a quiz session will start at 10 a.m. every night. All participating players can enter the event interface to answer questions after the event begins. Each question has a time limit of 30 seconds and a total of 30 points. 1 point will be deducted every second for a total of 100 questions. The final ranking will be based on the total score. The higher the score, the greater the reward. Event note. The questions will be randomly simulated based on common sense and knowledge in the game. Please review before the event begins. Event 4, Mysterious Battle Event Details. This event will begin on the last day of May 1st. Once this event begins, all players will be able to change forms. The event will take place in all 3 major domains at the same time. Details of the event will be announced on the event's opening day. Event notification. In a chaotic battle, surviving means victory. Message. Labor Day. Labor is the most glorious. Hard work is victory. The players were undoubtedly the happiest when they saw the event announcement. The players from the European server and Araka server were equally excited, especially when they saw that the final event of May 1st would involve all 3 major domains. They felt as if their status as the abandoned son of the main server had finally changed to that of an illegitimate son. Although the treatment was still not as good as the son of the main server, at least they had something to look forward to. Maybe one day, they would be able to squeeze out the main server and become the son of the main server. The players from the European server and Araka server had always been looking forward to this event. They believed that every version had its own god. The main server's dominance was only temporary. Sooner or later, their server would surpass the main server and become the son of the Battle Royale's mastermind. After the announcement of the event announcement, the forum was in an uproar. Roasting Chong, while hugging the jade hair. When I saw that planting trees could produce good stuff, I had a hunch that things would not be as simple as I thought. Just as I expected, I can actually steal the spiritual spring water from other people's trees. This is interesting. Laughing emoji. Invincible_loneliness. Collect the medals in advance. You can exchange them for soul coins or our coins, but it's best to trade them in our coins. I don't have enough soul coins, so I won't reject anyone. Add to the group if you have goods that you want to sell. Laughing emoji. Watermelon_taro. Let's start moving bricks. Let's take advantage of the opening of the event to earn some money. The stingy soul coins Battle Royale's mastermind is finally letting out some money. Let's hurry up and do it. Laughing emoji. Patrick_star_pay_me_money. Let's get high on May 1st. The hardworking office workers finally have a comfortable rest day. I saw the event announcement when I got home. I'm so happy. I'm going to take this opportunity to rise. Sea King's arrogant face. JPG. Janie_turtle_Lynn_me_money. Awesome. May 1st is letting out a lot of money. Speaking of which, I've never understood question. Why is the Battle Royale's mastermind so stingy with soul coins? Can't they also give out some soul coins in addition to the May 1st? Don't they know how much we lack soul coins? Extremely perverted emoji. Crayon_Shinchan. Battle Royale's mastermind. You guys are definitely making money, but I'm definitely not losing anything. Laughing emoji. The players were in an uproar in the forum. They were all discussing the 4 upcoming events, especially the ultimate mysterious event. Everyone was guessing how it would be carried out. The introduction of the event mentioned the Battle Royale. The players even thought of the cross-server war between the three big domains. They could not help but feel nervous. Among the three servers, the players of the original server were undoubtedly the ones with the most sense of superiority. First of all, as the veteran server, they had the advantage of being the earliest server. They had developed a few months earlier than the other two servers. It could be said that they had a huge advantage in the early stage. In the eyes of the original players, the other two servers were the younger brothers. They were the strongest. This was not only reflected in the overall strength of the players, but also in the top players. Although the European server and the Naraka server had a lot of strong and powerful players at the current stage, in the eyes of the original players, they were still much weaker than their wall cheaters. Moreover, the original server was the only one that had completely occupied a big domain and had begun to expand its influence. The various advantages made the original players extremely proud. There were even a few contrarians who liked to make their presence known in the forums of the European server and the Naraka server. Every time they saw the players of the other two servers discussing a very powerful player, they would always come up and say, compared to our server's XXX, he's still a little weaker. But he's still not bad. This situation had made the players of the other two servers sullen for a long time. They had long wanted to prove themselves. Therefore, if the ultimate event of May 1st was really a cross-server war, the original players suddenly began to worry if they would be slapped in the face. They had confidence, but if they were to really lose in the cross-server war, it would undoubtedly be extremely embarrassing. Therefore, in order to be able to show off their previous pretense, the original players could not help but feel nervous. From their point of view, they could not afford to lose this battle. They had to win. Chapter 346. All the players gathered at the border between the land of the Nine Luminaries and the land of Baki to wait before the event officially started at 8 p.m. Ever since the explosion of the Mansion of the Dead, the players had completely lost the Mansion of the Dead and could only wander between the two major regions. Without the safe zone, they no longer had any weaknesses. The natural disaster of the players had officially broken out. After that, the players wreaked havoc between the two regions like locusts. When the Nine Luminaries' army attacked Baki, the players attacked the Nine Luminaries. When the Nine Luminaries' army returned to defend the land of the Nine Luminaries, the players attacked Baki. He adopted the crazy strategy of stealing from the enemy's house. During this period, the harassment tactics of the players were endless, giving the Nine Yao army a lot of pain. In the end, the Nine Yao army had no choice but to station troops in both territories. However, the players still had a way to deal with the situation. With the central junction of the two territories as their base, they attacked both territories at the same time. Faced with such a situation, the Nine Luminaries brothers hardened their hearts and personally led the Nine Luminaries army to wipe out the players for 8 consecutive days. However, there seemed to be no end to the players. Batches of players would pop up one after another. Even the Nine Luminaries brothers had no idea where so many players had come from. After a full 8 days of purging, the group of players was still there when they looked back. Their numbers did not seem to have decreased at all. What the Nine Luminaries brothers were feeling right now was an incomparable headache, but they had no way to deal with it. At this time, the players gathered at the border of the barren grassland, waiting for the event notification to sound. As 8 o'clock arrived, the game notification sounded. Server announcement, Happy May Day activities. The Medal of the Warrior and the Day and Night Plowing have been officially activated. The event items have been distributed. The quiz will begin in 2 hours. At this moment, the players who had been waiting at the barren grassland all sprinted toward Baki. In order to celebrate the arrival of Labor Day, the gamers had already issued a gathering order on the forum after the announcement of the event. That was the moment the event began, they would start the first battle of the Labor Day Carnival to celebrate the arrival of Labor Day. Countless players responded to the call and joined in. They had been waiting for this moment to come, to gather together and fight for Baki once again. While they were running toward the area where the Mansion of the Dead was located in the Baki Plains, the live chat channel was filled with wails and howls. All the players were shouting like huskies out of control, showing how excited they were at the moment. At this time, Temporary tents were set up in the underworld's sinkhole. Outside the entire campsite, there were countless wooden stakes made of spiritual iron to defend against the enemy. Above the underworld's campsite, at the edge of the sinkhole, there were soldiers stationed in all directions. At this time, the Mansion of the Dead had already become a substation of the 9 Luminaries' army, guarded by the 4th brother Chen Yao, the 5th brother Jin Yao, and the 6th brother Mu Yao. After Ri Yao's death, it was Chen Yao's turn to replace His Excellency of Beiki. However, after learning from the mistakes of his 2 brothers, not only did he bring nearly half of the army in the land of the 9 Luminaries to help Chen Yao successfully ascend to the throne of His Excellency, he even invited his 2 brothers to help him. However, Chen Yao's dream of becoming an abyssal prefect was doomed to be nothing more than a fantasy before the player army was completely wiped out. Faced with players that they couldn't kill at all, the 3 9 Luminaries brothers who were stationed here went from being confident in their victory to being incomparably irritated. There was a huge change in their mindset. Currently, the 3 brothers were discussing how to exterminate the players in the encampment's tent. Suddenly, a soldier's shout came from outside. "They're here again." Hearing the soldier's shouts, the 3 brothers didn't even need to think to know that the players had come to harass them. They immediately got up and prepared for battle. After exiting the tent, the 3 brothers were dumbfounded. This was because the entire periphery of the Mansion of the Dead was filled with players who were jumping into the pit like dumplings. "Kill them. The medals are right in front of us. Let's take advantage of the Labor Day holiday and earn a fortune." "Oh, your grandpa natural disaster is here again. Take this, 9 Luminaries. Soul coins, experience points, and medals are waving at us. Killing 1 is a sure win. Killing 2 is even more profitable. And killing 3 is a huge win. I guarantee that we won't lose anything." The husky army of players seemed to be on steroids. Using the notification of the event as a declaration of war, they launched a frenzied attack on the 9 Luminaries' army in the pit. This time, without the help of the Ghost King level like the Rock Ghost King, the players knew that it would be impossible to seize the Mansion of the Dead from the 3 brothers. However, they didn't care at all. What they needed now was to nurture themselves through battle. Killing the soldiers of the 9 Luminaries' army would help them grow. Moreover, with the bonus rewards from the event, the players were full of fighting spirit. It didn't matter if they died or not, as long as the rewards were in place. This scene really surprised the 3 9 Luminaries brothers. In the past, the players had always attacked in small teams. This was the first time they had encountered such a large-scale attack. Their hearts couldn't help but tighten, and they quickly joined the 9 Luminaries' army in slaughtering the player army. The players didn't care at all. They didn't even look at the 3 9 Luminaries brothers who were flying in the air. "If you attack me, I'll attack your soldiers. If you kill me, I'll kill your soldiers. If you kill my teammates, I'll kill your soldiers." The players' goal was very clear. Since we can't beat the big guys, we'll capture the small ones and smash them with our fists. The players' actions made the 3 9 Luminaries brothers extremely uncomfortable. Right now, the players' army was practically a lunatic in their eyes. They didn't care about their own lives at all, and all they cared about was capturing their subordinates and killing them. Initially, the 9 Luminaries brothers didn't care about this kind of mutual exhaustion at all. After all, the number of deaths of the players far exceeded the number of deaths of their soldiers. To them, this kind of suicidal battle tactic was extremely stupid. However, they didn't think that way anymore because there was no way to kill all the players. After several rounds of purging, the 9 Luminaries' army was completely dumbfounded. These players seemed to be able to reproduce infinitely. They killed wave after wave until they were about to vomit. Therefore, the 3 9 Luminaries brothers felt that something was wrong when they encountered such a tactic again, but there was nothing they could do. The only thing they could do was to attack with all their might and kill as many players as possible to reduce the casualties of their soldiers. Ever since the death of Yu and Ri, the only one among the 9 Luminaries brothers who had the strength of a Ghost Emperor was His Excellency Xing Yao. The 3 9 Luminaries brothers who were stationed here were all in the Ghost King realm. Without the help of the 9 Luminaries army, the players could definitely kill a Ghost King realm existence with all their might. However, The 9 Luminaries' army had a large number of soldiers at the moment, so it was too difficult for them to kill the 9 Luminaries' brothers. However, there was no lack of players who liked challenges. At this moment, in the live chat channel of the wall hunting group that Luchai had formed. Luchai, brothers, what do you say? Is there any way to take one down? Yi Shui. I don't have that ability. Are you guys around? Come out and have a chat. Can you not be so cold? Qi Ming. My 10 Ghost Cage can suppress one, but he's a Ghost King, and I'm just a Ghost Supreme Commander. I reckon he'll be able to break the formation in a few seconds. Helpless Sai. Ao Jian. Since you're done, I'll open the sword array again. It won't be a problem to lock it for a few more seconds. Yichen. Everyone, let's go. My big bow has been thirsty for a long time. It's so boring to kill the small ones. We, the wall cheaters, should kill the big ones. Murphy, backstab ready. Little Pomelo, backstab ready. Who he thought? It's rare that we're back from an activity. There's not much profit to be gained from killing the small fry. You guys think of a way to kill the big one. I have a way to kill him. Guyu, I feel that the Great Demon King is getting more and more awesome. I just glanced at the zombie spirit squad that he brought with him. Their strength really scared me. Sea King's shocked face. Sun Chi. Oh, we're all in the same party. Leave your health to me, don't worry. Under the organization of Luchai, the wall cheaters were ready to take action. After confirming the plan, they quietly moved among the army of players and gathered together. Then, they moved toward the area where Mu Yao was. To be on the safe side, they chose Mu Yao, who was the weakest among the 3 brothers, as their hunting target. At this time, Mu Yao, who was still trying his best to kill the players, did not notice that danger was approaching. At this moment, Qi Ming, who had entered the casting distance, raised the Soul Devourer staff in his hand and waved it toward Mu Yao. Suddenly, 10 shadows rose into the air and surrounded Mu Yao. At the same time, they worked together to suppress him. Mu Yao was caught off guard by this attack. He lowered his body and was pressed down by the 10 ghostly shadows from the sky. Mu Yao was furious when he realized it. He opened his hands and pushed the 10 shadows away. Heart Sword territory. A cold light flashed in Ao Jian's eyes. The 9 spiritual swords behind him rose into the air and came to the top of Mu Yao's head. They began to circle and dance. Streaks of sharp sword energy slashed down. This time, Mu Yao could not avoid it and landed on the ground. At the same time, 2 black shadows suddenly appeared behind Mu Yao. 2 backstabs were aimed at him. Mu Yao was horrified and wanted to turn around to block the backstabs. However, Luchai came from the front with a grin. He raised his silvery white right arm and threw a right punch toward Mu Yao's cheek. While turning around to block the backstabs, Mu Yao's cheek was punched by Luchai. His body was thrown away and fell to the ground. The few people present had the combat power of the Ghost Commander level. Although they were no match for Mu Yao in a one-on-one fight, they had unparalleled combat power when they attacked together. Mu Yao, who had fallen, was about to get up. However, he saw more than 20 figures appearing around him. All of them were bare-chested and exuded a strong aura. They surrounded Mu Yao. Kill. Hu He, who was standing at the back, said immediately. Hearing Hu He's order, more than 20 strong zombie spirits surrounded Mu Yao and started to beat him up. At this moment, Mu Yao could not fly even if he wanted to. He could only swing his arms and slap the zombie spirits away one by one. However, the zombie spirits were not afraid of pain at all. The moment they fell to the ground, they would get up again. Meanwhile, Sun Chi, who was not far away, released the healing chain to heal the zombie spirits' wounded bodies. Roar! At this moment, Mu Yao was completely enraged. He released all the power in his body and knocked all the zombie spirits around him away. Just when he was about to float into the air, he saw another figure flapping its wings and flying toward him. Look at my eyes. Guyu, who was in the form of the demonic god, roared at Mu Yao. I'll look at you. Mu Yao, who had raised his fist and was about to smash the incoming figure away, subconsciously glanced at Guyu's eyes. Evil thoughts entered his body and negative emotions flooded his mind. Mu Yao's body suddenly trembled and he froze on the spot. At this moment, More than 20 strong zombie spirits surrounded Mu Yao again and started to punch and kick the stunned Mu Yao. Yu did not stop. He dashed to Mu Yao's side and used the momentum to kick Mu Yao's crotch. Mu Yao, who was in a daze, twitched his mouth and frowned. However, he still did not wake up from the negative state. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Ao Jian, Qi Ming, and the others also surrounded Mu Yao. They started to attack crazily while the demonic god stare was still in effect. They cooperated very well. In less than a minute, Mu Yao was completely restrained on the spot, leaving Chun Yao and Jin Yao no time to react. When they realized that something was wrong with Mu and wanted to help him, they suddenly found that in the billowing smoke and dust in the north, an army of armored cavalry was coming fiercely. Brothers of Beiki, let's have fun together. Reinhardt, who was the leader of the steel cavalry, shouted excitedly while riding on a huge dragon-horn rhinoceros. Behind him was the army of players from the European server. Chapter 347. As an international holiday, the European server and the Naraka server also had activities on this day. The difference was that the first mission that the European server opened on this day was an unlimited mission to farm monsters, unlike the fixed group goal of the Beiki players. Initially, the European server players were prepared to fight it out with Yuanshu. In the end, the European server players did not expect Yuanshu to withdraw all the Yuanshu army stationed in the demonic territory back to the spectral dragon tomb. Moreover, he set up a barrier with his subordinate, the Ghost King, and adopted a defensive strategy. It was as if he knew that the players were going to riot today. This made the European server players very depressed. Although they could attack the spectral dragon tomb directly, it was a long journey after all. It would take at least half a day, and it would also take a lot of effort to break through the barrier. 10 o'clock was the time for the quiz event. Hence, the European server players came up with a plan and decided to head to Beiki from the south. It just so happened that the original server players were going to attack the 9 Luminaries base in the Mansion of the Dead as well. Moreover, they were the weaker party. Wouldn't it be better for them to attack together? Hence, before the event started, the European server's army set off towards Beiki without stopping. For the first round of activities, they decided to have a good time in Beiki. Seeing the appearance of the new force, Chun Yao and Jin Yao were surprised. Then they roared at the people below. Attention! There are enemies in the north. Starlight and Chun Yao's angry roars naturally attracted the attention of the players. Then, from the north, countless European server players leaped into the crater and came in a mighty manner. Brothers of the main server, let's have fun together. At this moment, Lionheart raised his silver spear and roared again. The dragon-horned rhinoceros beneath him roared and charged into the 9 Luminaries' army like a tank. The Huskies, who were in the midst of killing, suddenly paled when they saw them. Don't. Can you please get lost? Don't be like this. What the F***CK? Brothers, pay attention. The kill stealer is here. Immoral, too immoral. We finally got a chance to kill to our heart's content, but you actually came to steal our kills. A bunch of asterisk. I'm going to kill you all. Be asterisk starred, you've gone too far. This is Beiki. Can't you go and fight Yuanshu? Don't you have any sense of territory? The original server players immediately opened the live chat channel and started cursing. However, the European server players would not listen to him. In front of them were the shiny soul coins, experience points, and event rewards. At this moment, they were already blinded by the benefits. To hell with territorial awareness. F***CK, your monsters. To hell with the BBB. I won't listen. Therefore, the European server players completely ignored the original server players and collided with the 9 Yao army from the side with bloodshot eyes. One from the west, the other from the north. The two armies advanced at the same time and began to farm monsters. The Beiki players who witnessed this scene felt very aggrieved. It was as if their leeks had been stolen by a wild boar from next door. Quick, brothers, speed up the harvest. Don't let these bastards steal it. Since there was no way to stop them, the only thing they could do was to reduce their losses. Hence, the Beiki players killed even more fervently. At this time, in the west corner, Mu Yao was completely stunned. Mu Yao's impression of the players was that they were numerous and could never be killed. However, he had never encountered a high-end combat force. However, it was completely different this time. These players were obviously much stronger than the players he had encountered before. Their control skills were smooth, and their own abilities were outstanding, making it impossible for him to escape. This was especially true for those 20 or so naked men. Although they had no combat experience and only knew how to brainlessly hammer people, they were completely unkillable. Even if their chests were caved in, a green light would flash out of nowhere, and the injuries on the naked man's body would be swept away. There were control, output, healing, long range, and so on. It could be said that there were more than 50 people in total, including the members of the wall team and the 20 or so men under who he. At this moment, the power that they unleashed gave Mu Yao no time to catch his breath. In the distance, seeing that Mu Yao was trapped, Chen Yao and Jin Yao's hearts tightened. They immediately wanted to rush over to help. At this time, Li Xing, who was holding a golden blade, shouted in the live chat channel, "Brothers, let's do it too. We can't lose in terms of momentum." Upon hearing this, a trace of excitement flashed in Reinhardt's eyes. He raised his spear and began to aim. Then, he suddenly threw the silver spear out. "Come down!" The silver spear pierced through the air with a sharp whistling sound. Dragging a rotating white airflow behind it, it ruthlessly stabbed into Jin Yao's back. Jin Yao, who was flying, suddenly stopped. At this time, the three necromancers standing beside Li Xing twisted their bodies and turned into three huge dark crows. They flapped their wings and rose into the air, reaching out their sharp claws to grab Jin Yao. While Jin Yao began to resist the attack of the dark crows, several knights below him raised their spears and began to shoot. The rest of the Zero Guild's necromancers began to cooperate and form a formation. A black six-pointed star formation appeared on the ground. Then, a huge black claw emerged from the formation and grabbed Jin Yao, who was floating in the air. "Now, Jason, it's up to you." Roger. Seeing that Jin Yao was being restrained, Jason spun in a circle on the spot. Then, he threw the shadow palm spiderweb in his hand at Jin Yao. After locking Jin Yao, he pulled him to the ground forcefully. Seeing this, the Zero Guild's barbarian players immediately stepped forward and began to pull him back. After a series of attacks, Jin Yao finally could not resist anymore and fell from the sky. The moment he landed, the knights around him, who had been waiting for a long time, activated their charge skill at the same time. Under Reinhardt's lead, they crashed into Jin Yao's body, making him dizzy. "Kill him. Since he's here, let's steal a Ghost King. We'll make a fortune," Reinhardt shouted excitedly. The Zero Guild's members heard this and began to attack crazily while the shadow spiderweb was still intact. On the other side, Chen Yao had already arrived at the area where Jin Yao was trapped. He raised his hand and slapped downward. A huge wind pressure swept over, and many players were swept away by the strong wind. However, the players from the Wall Cheat group did not move an inch. "Murphy, Little Pomelo, 7 Grandpas, go and restrain him. Jin Yao won't be able to hold on for long." Lu Chai immediately shouted, "Roger." After saying that, Murphy and Little Pomelo turned into black shadows and merged into one. Then, they shot up from the ground and dashed toward Chen Yao. "Get lost." Seeing that Jin Yao's expression was getting weaker, Chen Yao became anxious. He raised his palm angrily and slapped at Murphy and Little Pomelo. However, at this moment, Murphy and Little Pomelo suddenly separated in the air and revealed themselves. The palm print formed by energy barely brushed past the two of them. "Ghost Devour." Chi Ming saw this from afar and waved his soul devourer's staff. A huge shadow of an evil spirit appeared behind him and rushed toward Chen Yao, who was in the sky, while screaming, "Get lost." Chen Yao slapped away the shadow of the evil spirit and once again descended toward Jin Yao. This time, Chen Yao was prepared. He was not like Jin Yao, who was stunned by the continuous attacks in a short period of time. Moreover, Gu Yu's demonic god's gaze was still in a cool-down state. It could not stop Chen Yao, who was the strongest among the three. after knocking away several zombie spirits along the way. Chen Yao grabbed Jin Yao and immediately levitated into the air. How could the players from the Wall Cheat group let Jin Yao go so easily? Suddenly, countless skills were cast into the sky. Looking at the dying Jin Yao in his hand, Chen Yao knew that Jin Yao would not be able to hold on if this went on. He lifted his body again and flew higher and higher until the players' attacks could no longer reach him. F*CK me. F*CK. Mother of *Ker. The cooked duck has flown away. Seeing this scene, the members of the Wall Cheat group could not help but curse. Even the well-bred 7 old men could not help but say, "What the F*CK?" However, they did not have the power to fight in the air. Moreover, Chen Yao's strength was at the advanced Ghost King stage. Now that some of their skills were in cooldown, they could not compete with him at all. At this moment, there was nothing they could do but feel helpless. We've suffered a huge loss. What should we do now, my brothers? Chen Ziyu asked in the team's voice chat. His voice seemed to be trembling because of the heartache. Brothers, it seems like Li Xing and the others have caught Jin Yao in the north. Lu Chai said in a ferocious tone. Upon hearing this, everyone's heart skipped a beat. Then, a malicious smile appeared on their faces. Snatch! Snatch the F*CK. We must snatch it. It's all ours. There was no need to discuss anything. Everyone had the same attitude. That was, they must snatch it. Therefore, the members of the Wall Cheat group began to move. They ran wildly toward the north where the European server players were. At this moment, they only had one thought in mind, and that was to share the pain and reduce the pain. In the north, Jin Yao, who had difficulty landing, was facing the firepower of all the members of the Zero Guild. He had tried to escape several times, but the Wraith Swamp, Death Vines, Evil Entanglement, and a series of control skills cast by the necromancers of the European server gave him a headache. At this moment, under Jin Yao's feet, countless illusory palms were grabbing his heels. His body was also entangled with death vines. Even if he were to be torn apart, countless vines would emerge from the ground and continue to entangle him. Open! Faced with such a predicament, Jin Yao roared. The energy in his body suddenly exploded and turned into a shock wave, shaking off all the vines and illusory, ghostly claws on his body. However, at this moment, the knights led by Reinhard arrived again with the charge skill. They crashed into him and knocked him to the ground again. When Jin Yao got up, the ghostly claws on the ground reappeared and the death vines spread toward him. Faced with such an extremely difficult control style, Jin Yao wanted to cry, but had no tears. He could not escape at all. This was the control style of the necromancers of the Zero Guild, which was developed after many battles with the Yuanshu army. It was a special way to defeat the boss. Seeing that Jin Yao could not escape, Li Xing smiled. He immediately raised his golden battle blade and was about to lead the barbarian team to attack when he suddenly saw several figures pushing through the crowd from the west. Don't move. Kill Steel. Yi Chun, who was holding his big bow, leaped into the encirclement of Jin Yao and shouted arrogantly, Get lost, kill Steel. After sending several European server players flying with a heavy punch, Lu Chai's silhouette appeared. He's coming. Guyu, who was in his demonic god form, fell from the sky and hit the ground with his right fist. With his right fist, as the center, he activated the burning of blood skill. Crimson flames spread from his right fist to his surroundings. Qi Ming, my fellow European server cultivators, I'm sorry. Yishuer, I love killing Steel the most, hee. Ao Jian, get lost, it's ours. At this moment, the people from the Wall Cheaters group arrived. He was there for no other reason than to steal the kill. Seeing the arrival of Lu Chai and the Wall Cheaters group, the smile on Li Xing's face instantly froze. The Beiki players who saw this scene from afar suddenly became excited. Our bosses are all here, what are we waiting for? Let's kill them. How dare they kill Steel? It's time to let them know who's boss. At this moment, the Beiki players raised their weapons and bared their bloodthirsty fangs at the European server players. At this time, Chen Yao, who had moved Mu Yao to a safe area, returned to the mansion of the dead sinkhole. Then he saw a scene that made him extremely dumbfounded. A chaotic battle between three forces was taking place below. Chapter 348. The players from the two servers who were already at odds with each other completely broke out at this moment because of Jin Yao's kill right. The sudden fight spread across the entire battlefield like a fuse. Both parties were at each other's throats. With Jin Yao as the center, the scene was even more chaotic. The players from both servers wanted to help their parties take down the Ghost King level boss, so they squeezed toward the center. To the players from both the original server and the European server, whoever took down Jin Yao, the Ghost King first, would be the winner. It was simple, brutal, and straightforward. While the two parties were killing the soldiers of the Nine Luminaries army, they were also exchanging blows. Their skills intertwined and bloomed like fireworks in the mansion of the dead sinkhole. Chen Yao was dumbfounded when he saw this scene. He could not tell which players were from the European server and which were from the original server. In his eyes, those who were fighting below were all players who looked the same. At this moment, Chen Yao looked at Jin Yao, who was obviously unable to escape. His expression froze, and he quickly dashed down. Chen Yao is here. No one knew which player shouted, but all the players below immediately looked up. We can't let him intercept us this time. Kill him. Lu Chai immediately roared. Hearing Lu Chai's roar, the members of the wall-hanging squad and the rest of the original server who were surrounding Jin Yao immediately changed their direction of attack. Everyone focus on Chen Yao. Li Xing also shouted in the live chat channel. At this moment, the players from both servers had an unusual tacit understanding. They turned their firepower and aimed at Chen Yao, who was trying to take Jin Yao away. Flames flickered, and the dense shockwave from the skills were continuous, wave after wave. Chen Yao could not move forward in such a violent attack. After holding on for a while, he turned around and flew back to the sky. Seeing that Chen Yao had left, Lu Chai and Li Xing suddenly looked at each other. Then, the battle between the players broke out again. Chen Yao, who was flying in the sky, panted heavily. His expression was gloomy because he could not save Jin Yao at this rate. Looking down, he suddenly realized that the players had started fighting again. So, he gritted his teeth and flew down again. Chen Yao is here again, a player roared with all his might in the regional channel. At this moment, all the players tacitly aimed their firepower at Chen Yao and began a new round of crazy attacks. Chen Yao was completely enraged after being beaten back again. Can you guys fight properly? He had planned to take Jin Yao away while the players were fighting among themselves. However, he did not expect that he would be the target of the players' attacks twice. However, the players couldn't care less about Chen Yao's feelings. As long as Chen Yao didn't come, their main mission was to kill the players from the opposing server and snatch the boss. This was a matter of their reputation as players. The battle became more and more intense. In the end, the central area was filled with players, and the warriors of the Nine Luminaries army were squeezed out of the inner circle where the battle was the most intense. This stunned the soldiers of the Nine Luminaries army. Previously, these players had come for them, but now they were fighting among themselves. At this moment, they had become the third party on the battlefield. What are you waiting for? Charge in. If my fifth brother dies, all of you will be buried with him. Looking at the soldiers of the Nine Luminaries army who seemed unwilling to continue fighting, Chen Yao was so angry that he wanted to kill his own people. Upon hearing Chen Yao's roar, the soldiers of the Nine Luminaries army immediately tensed up and began to fight their way into the battlefield. After the European server players joined in, the battle became extremely chaotic. In order to snatch the boss, both sides were in a frenzy. However, in terms of overall strength, the original server players were obviously stronger. This undoubtedly annoyed many of the European server players. At this moment, some of the European server players who were truly enraged no longer cared about their soul coins. They began to buy enhancement potions in the shop to enhance themselves. They spent a lot of money just to fight for their honor. This trend quickly spread. A large number of European server players began to spend money to buy enhancement potions to enhance themselves. After a while, most of the European server players began to glow with enhancement lights, and their combat power skyrocketed. Upon seeing this, the original server players began to spend money as well. Soon, all the original server players had a bottle of enhancement potion. Those who were rich even bought 5 or 6 bottles of enhancement potions of different attributes and drank them all in one go. While competing in strength, the two servers actually competed in the ability to spend money. This made Lu Wu, who was watching the battle from behind the scenes, not know whether to laugh or cry. He was originally prepared to spend a lot of money during the event, but in the end, the number of soul coins in his storage suddenly skyrocketed. Regarding the serious issue of the civil war between the players, Lu Wu only wanted to say, "Fight, fight to the death. Fight, fight to the death," after spending money. As the boss behind the scenes of these players, Lu Wu did not stop them. Instead, he watched with great interest, especially when he saw the rapid increase in soul coins. If it was not for the sake of establishing a dignified image in front of Bailey, Lu Wu almost wanted to stand up and applaud. The three-way battle was still going on. During this period, Chen Yao came to rescue people several times. However, the players of the two servers were fighting each other. When facing Chen Yao, they had to work together. Seeing that Jin Yao was getting weaker and weaker, Chen Yao, who could not save his brother, was completely frustrated. However, the players did not care about what Chen Yao thought. At this time, the players of the two servers only wanted to destroy the players of the opposite server. They did not care about anything else. In the European Server Army's live chat channel, Jin Yao is dying. 5 knights, come and charge with me. We'll break a path and kill our way in to support the Zero Guild. Someone come quickly. Ha! The headless knights that I summoned just now killed 2 middle-tier pigs with low HP. Save the screenshot and continue killing. His HP is almost depleted. Priest, F***CK, you heal me. Where are you? Where the F***CK did he go? All the barbarians in the team have activated frenzy mode. This is the final stage. We'll fight with our lives on the line. If we win this battle, we can be arrogant in the future. Brothers, it's the last wave. Victory is right in front of us. Hold on. In the European Server Army's live chat channel, it's the last wave. Brothers, attack with all your might. Don't worry about the potion money. Your reputation is more important than anything else. Kill. I caught an enemy priest. Dong Shouty Yan. Come and help your father to deal damage. Don't let him escape. Ha ha. The explosive pill is so useful. I just threw one and it killed 3 of them. That's awesome. Sister, where are you? I can't find you. How can I heal you? A silly girl of the wood spiritual descendant who was at a loss on the battlefield. Hi, the big zombie ba am tougher. When the knight charged just now, I activated my overlord body and he flipped over. Ha, this is great. Let's continue. What the F***CK? How did our healer die? Is there a single healer? Give me one. I can't hold on any longer. Forget about the knight. Kill the priest first. Kill the priest first. The priest's healing capacity is higher than us with spiritual descendants. It'll be hard for them to kill anyone if they don't die. The army's live chat channel was noisy on both sides. However, at this moment, a game notification suddenly rang in the minds of all the players. Game notification. Target Ghost King Jin Yao has entered the state of near death. As the game notification appeared, the two forces became even crazier and crazier, as if they were on steroids. The scene was like a dance of demons. At this moment, even the 9 Yao army, which was extremely powerful, couldn't break into the battlefield. The battlefield now belonged to the players. It seemed that this was a war between them, and the 9 Yao army led by Chun Yao was the third force on the battlefield. In the center of the battlefield, Jin Yao had finally entered the state of near death under the violent attacks from both sides. At this moment, his body was full of wounds, and blood was seeping out of his broken armor. He was so weak that he couldn't resist the attacks from all directions. He was tied to the ground by the vines and was at his last gasp. At this moment, Murphy and Little Pomelo suddenly appeared behind Li Xing. Both of them slashed down with their combined backstab. The barbarian that Li Xing had chosen was an output class, so his defense wasn't high. Facing Murphy and Little Pomelo's killing blow, It seemed that he couldn't escape death. At this critical moment, Reinhardt, who was not far away, raised the silver spear in his hand and aimed it at Murphy. He let out a roar. Dark duel. Following Lionheart's furious roar, an illusory dark coliseum crashed down from the sky, encircling the two of them. The surrounding players gradually blurred until they disappeared, leaving only Murphy and Lionheart in the dark coliseum. Dark duel, unique special. Skill introduction, activates the dark arena. During this period, you can choose a player as your challenge target. The chosen player will be pulled into the independent space of the dark arena and fight with you one-on-one. During this period, everything in the outside world will be blocked. If the Dark Knight successfully kills the challenge player, the body of the defeated player will be captured. Attributes will be weakened by 50%, skill effects will be weakened by 50%, and turned into a dark slave for the Dark Knight to control for 10 minutes. In the outside world, Little Pomelo's dagger stabbed Li Xing's back ruthlessly, causing a critical damage. However, without Murphy's cooperation, the attack didn't have shadow runes, so Li Xing wasn't killed instantly. At this moment, Little Pomelo was also shocked. Murphy's disappearance caught her off guard. However, she didn't attack again. Instead, she decisively turned into a black shadow and retreated toward the area where the original players were. "Leave it here." The deputy commander, who was standing beside Li Xing, yelled immediately when he saw that. The surrounding necromancers immediately took action. Countless black claws of the dead rose from the ground, trying to catch the escaping Little Pomelo. Blade Storm. Just as Little Pomelo was about to be caught, Ao Jin's figure appeared. Following his cold snort, 9 spiritual swords circled around his body, forming a violent sword formation. It tore apart all the control skills in the surroundings, helping Little Pomelo to escape successfully. Meanwhile, in the dark arena, Reinhardt and Murphy were engaged in a fierce battle. Reinhardt could be said to be the most vulnerable killer in the European server. At this moment, Murphy was restricted in every aspect in the dark arena. Moreover, without Little Pomelo's cooperation, it could be said that he was no match for Reinhardt at all. He could only rely on his body movements to avoid Reinhardt's attacks. The area where the battle was the most intense was the center of the battlefield, where Jin Yao was. Qi Ming drank 10 bottles of enhancement potion and summoned the ghost land under Jin Yao's feet. Beside him, Lu Chai was blocking attacks from all directions, protecting Qi Ming. Not far away, Mo Lingtian's long hair danced in the wind. The gale bow in his hand was burning with green flames. Every time he shot an energy arrow, he could easily kill a vulnerable player from the European server. He had become the most vulnerable killer in the battlefield. The person who was protecting Mo Lingtian was none other than the close combat archer, Yi Chun. Jin Yao is going to die. Jin Yao is going to die. At this moment, the players on both sides roared at the same time in the live chat channels. At this moment, the players on both sides gave up on attacking the opposing players and aimed their firepower at Jin Yao. It was also at this moment that Chun Yao's figure appeared again. When all the players' attention was on Jin Yao, Chun Yao's appearance was too sudden, and he approached Jin Yao in an instant. Just when the players' eyes were about to pop out of their sockets, a black shadow appeared behind Jin Yao. A cold glint appeared on the sharp dagger. The sharp blade suddenly slashed down with a black stream of light. Witnessing this scene, the hearts of the European server players sank, while the original server players were extremely excited. However, at this moment, an unknown player shouted in the live chat channel, "He's not Murphy." Hearing this, the original server players were shocked and immediately started analyzing the situation. Dark Slave, Murphy, character introduction, an undead slave who was killed by the player Reinhardt in the Dark Arena. After seeing the analysis ability, the original server players widened their eyes and were filled with indignation. Bang! The backstab landed. Dash 289 at the same time as the bloody words appeared. A final hit notification appeared above Jin Yao's head in red. This notification meant that Jin Yao's HP was now less than 500. However, at this moment, Murphy attacked again and it was too late for the original server players to stop him. At the critical moment when Jin Yao was about to die, a burning flame arrow suddenly appeared and pierced through Jin Yao's forehead at an extremely fast speed, streaking across the sky. A string of bloody red words appeared above Jin Yao's head. -13121. Congratulations to player Yi Chun for inflicting fate critical damage x 100 on Jin Yao. Target Jin Yao has been successfully killed. Wow. The players on both servers were in an uproar. F*CKU Yi Chun. You're really a killing machine against the wind. I love you so much. Fate can destroy heaven and earth. Haha, scumbags of the European server. Cry louder. 666. I'm about to have a heart attack. Yi Chun, hurry up and pay for it. Yi Chun, you're really a genius. You're the king of turning the tables against the wind. Come here and let me give you a kiss. My brother Chun, fate critical damage 100 times. Why don't you go to heaven? Ha ha ha. Yi Chun, who was holding a longbow in the distance, seemed to be in disbelief that he had once again saved the day. The dull expression on his face gradually turned into an arrogant smile. At the same time, all the original server players began to wail like ghosts and howl like wolves. The husky that destroyed the house showed itself once again. Chapter 349. The plot flipped again and again, and all the players felt like they were on a roller coaster. Lu Wu, who was behind the scenes, could not help but laugh when he saw Jin Yao's death. He could not help but feel proud when he saw that Yi Chun had only killed Jin Yao with the help of the method of fate. After all, this technique was created by him in his previous life. Although it had little to do with him now, Lu Wu was still very proud. On the other hand, Bailey stared at Lu Wu, who was giggling like an idiot, helplessly. Jin Yao was dead, but the European server players could not accept it. In this battle, the number of European server players in the area where Jin Yao was located was more than that of the original server. They were supposed to have the upper hand, but the result was beyond their expectations. To them, this was supposed to be a slap in the face to the original server and establish the prestige of the European server. Now, everything was over, and there was no turning back. This time, Yi Chun made a contribution again, and all the original server players cheered for him. When the European server players saw this, their eyes turned red, and they all pounced on Yi Chun. Yi Chun was the biggest hero of the original server, but in the eyes of the European server players, he was the biggest tumor on the battlefield. Seeing the agitated European server players pouncing on him, Yi Chun was not afraid at all. He opened his arms calmly and turned into a black fog that dissipated in the midst of the violent group of European server players. At the same time, Chun Yao, who had grabbed Jin Yao, levitated into the air. However, when he found out that Jin Yao was dead, his face turned pale instantly, and he let out a sorrowful roar. Nine Yao army! Kill them! Leave no one alive! The original server players and the European server players who were in the middle of a melee completely ignored Chun Yao and continued to fight. At this time, the European server players were extremely sullen. In their opinion, the kill of the Golden Yao Ghost King should have belonged to them, but they did not expect it to be snatched away. This was the game world, and there was no need to hold back one's anger. Since they were unhappy, they would kill. However, at this moment, a game notification suddenly sounded. Server announcement. Please note, the 10 o'clock quiz is about to begin. Players, please get ready. The moment the game notification appeared, both the original server and the European server players suddenly stopped attacking each other. After staring at the opposing players for a moment, the players from both the original server and the European server tacitly dispersed and started to run for their lives. The quiz is about to begin. You can't answer questions in battle mode. Everyone run. Mother of Asterisk, if it wasn't for the answer question, I would have killed the weaklings of the European server. You're lucky. Chinese idiots, don't be so smug. I'll teach you a lesson next time. You're the ones who were saved when it came to answering questions, not us. Consider yourselves lucky this time. This is not the full strength of the European server. Even with your boss, Evil King, you won't be our opponent. There's no one who doesn't know how to say ruthless words. I'll be waiting for you to fight. Stop talking and run. We won't be able to answer the questions in time. In the regional live chat channel, the players from the European server and the original server bombarded each other as they ran. But at this moment, their thoughts were the same. The quiz session was about to begin. Hurry up and run, or else they would miss the quiz session. As the players dispersed, the warriors of the Nine Yao army easily killed their way into the central area. However, the players had no intention of fighting them at all. All of them were rushing out of the pit in the Mansion of the Dead. At this moment, the soldiers of the Nine Luminaries army were once again dumbfounded. The battle was intense just a moment ago, and it ended so abruptly. Is this a war? This must be a joke. Go after them. Chun Yao roared at the people below him. Upon hearing Chun Yao's roar, the dumbfounded soldiers of the Nine Yao army had no choice but to scatter and chase after the players in different directions. Brothers, pay attention. They're coming. Hurry up and run. The quiz session will be over if you haven't run out of the combat range when the quiz session begins. Upon hearing the reminder from a player in the live chat channel, the players immediately quickened their pace. The warriors and knights, in particular, were all running at lightning speed. The wood spirituals and priests who were running slowly behind them were full of resentment. These people risked their lives to be their meat shields on the battlefield. Yet, they turned their backs on them as soon as the quiz session began. They actually let the healers block the pursuit of the soldiers of the Nine Yao army. Are they still human? There were even a few short-legged healers who had the urge to strangle the few warriors who swore to protect them from harm. On the other hand, the warrior players only had one thought in mind. I'm fast, and I'll be able to escape from the combat range soon. Then, I'll be able to answer the questions happily. Playing as a warrior is really a wise choice. Seeing that the mages and healers were panting all the way, not only did they not sympathize with them, they even wanted to laugh. The entire battlefield was torn apart at this moment. There was no need for formations or groups anymore. At this moment, the players only cared about themselves, and nothing else mattered. Upon seeing this scene, Chun Yao's face turned ashen. The battle had ended just like that. He felt that his mental state had completely exploded, but he had nowhere to vent his anger because the players had already dispersed. He couldn't vent his anger by killing them. "Oh, player clan, I want you dead." The furious Chun Yao could only roar at the sky. Upon hearing Chun Yao's roar, the players ran even faster. Time to pack up, time to slip away. 5 minutes later, the battle at the Mansion of the Dead had officially ended. The players from the original server and the European server had already run far away, and the Nine Yao army could only return resentfully. At the same time, the quiz session began. All the players who had left the combat range appeared in front of them. Many players who were killed and exited the game could only watch the quiz live stream with resentment. At the same time, they hoped that the quiz bank would be extremely difficult, so difficult that they couldn't even answer a single question correctly. This time, the quiz session was different for the three main servers, but it was carried out synchronously between each server. After 60 seconds of preparation, the first quiz session appeared. First question, general knowledge multiple choice question, who was the previous king of Beiki? A. Liu Yin. B. Liu Tian. C. His Excellency Liu D. Tong Guo. When the question appeared, the 30-second countdown began. The points would decrease by 1 every second. This question was not difficult for the players. As long as the players had a slight understanding of Beiki's history, they would be able to answer it quickly. However, there were still stupid players who chose such a simple question wrongly. After the 30-second quiz session ended, the game notification appeared. Game notification. The first question has been answered. The correct answer is A, 87, 33%. The incorrect answer is B, 2, 66%. The incorrect answer is C, 8, 43%. The incorrect answer is D, 1, 58%. Upon seeing the results of the first round, many players who were watching the live stream burst into laughter. They couldn't believe that there were really idiotic players who chose Tonghua. At this time, the second question appeared. Second question, general knowledge question, what is the opposite of the Yin attribute? This question was not a multiple-choice question. The players could only enter their answer on the panel. However, this question seemed like a free-point question to the players. After all, the opposite of yin and yang was very common in the game, not only in battles, but also in life professions such as alchemy and blacksmithing. However, one player's answer stood out from the rest and made the players burst into laughter. This player actually answered sunny. The comment section of the live stream was in an uproar. "I'm laughing so hard, but there's nothing wrong with it. Isn't the opposite of a cloudy day a sunny day? I strongly request that this player's answer be considered correct." Laughing emoji. Haha, this idiotic player is really unpredictable. Have you watched too much weather forecast? I'm dying of laughter. Others' free-point questions, but yours is a free-point question. Brother, don't panic. Your train of thought is actually correct. We are strongly protesting against the behind-the-scenes team changing your answer to the correct one. Laughing emoji. Whether it was the comment section of the live stream or the activity chat channel, the players were all laughing. They were all extremely impressed by this player, who had a clear mind. The subsequent questions were even more hilarious. The players did not think much of it if they could not answer the more difficult questions correctly. However, there were still some players who could answer the free-point questions incorrectly. It could be said that it had completely changed the views of most players. One of the questions asked what a mage should do immediately when they were ambushed by an assassin. Most of the players' answers were to activate defensive and barrier skills. These answers were basically approved by the artifacts examination. However, there were some honest players who voiced out their thoughts. Run. There were quite a number of people who had such honest thoughts. They actually wrote out their thoughts, which made the players who were watching the quiz activity burst into laughter. There were also such simple questions. If you were a cleric and your party was fighting a boss, what should you do if the warrior's HP was almost depleted? In the end, some players confessed their thoughts honestly and answered, run. The warrior players were very resentful towards this part of the answers. Also, if you were a warrior in a team battle, what should you do if you found out that the healer of your party was dead? Answer, run. The mage players were very resentful towards this part of the answers. They felt that in the eyes of these warrior players, the mage players who had the highest damage output were still human. After one round of answering the simple questions, a group of players died. Although these players were honest enough and dared to voice out their inner thoughts, they unsurprisingly received 0 points from this question. After the first free-point questions were over, the difficulty of the subsequent general knowledge questions kept increasing. From the beginning, it was about the function of a certain item in the shop to the end of the knowledge about life professions. This made the players go crazy. Compared to the battle with the Jiuyao army, there was a lot of laughter both inside and outside the game this time. Chapter 350. This process was undoubtedly a long one for the players. 10 hours of persistence and waiting would yield results. Moreover, this was only the initial maturation of the lucky sapling. They would have to wait for a longer period of time to continue cultivating it. Shiwili_the_ strongest. This assassin will definitely choose the Tianluo gorilla. Skills are the way to go. I think choosing the Tianluo gorilla is the safest choice. This was because if all 3 chances of resurrection were used up, the individual points would be completely emptied. They would not be able to contribute to the overall ranking of the server they were in. In this ultimate event, there was no difference in strength between the players. It could be said that everything was starting from 0. There were 3 devouring seeds for the players to choose from, allowing them to decide their own direction of growth. Crayon_Shinchan. After some hesitation, I chose the Leviathan because I like to sing, dance, rap, and play basketball. Laughing emoji. On the 4th day, there were only a few players who had the lucky sapling. Apart from the players who were reluctant to give up due to the intense competition, the lucky sapling in the hands of the players was either withered or had already matured. Therefore, some of these players had the idea of stealing other people's mystical spring water. Some of them took action, and the situation spread like a virus. Server-wide announcement. The ultimate May Day event, Devouring Battle, will begin in an hour. Players can click on the event menu to register. At 8 o'clock, all participating players will be teleported to the event venue. For the past 3 days, the players have been waiting in agony. In order to ensure that their saplings would not be stolen, they could only stay by the saplings, scrolling through the forums, watching live broadcasts, and listening to music as they waited for the saplings to grow. Roasting _Jade _hair while hugging Chang'e, TSK. It seems like we'll be the first in the server. Now, I'm thinking about what pretentious lines I should say after we win the championship. Do you guys have any suggestions? The kind that can attract hatred. Rock _deep contemplation. JPG. The reward for cultivating the sapling was given to everyone. Although he could lower the probability of producing something good, the soul coins he had to pay were still huge. Some were excited, some were worried. Before the event began, all the players had mixed feelings. Mimic devouring skills. Void absorption can capture other mimic players within 10 meters. Cooldown, 60 seconds. Nothingness allows oneself to enter the state of nothingness. Cannot be locked on or devoured. Lasts for 10 seconds. Cooldown, 600 seconds. Players were always looking forward to seeing what the lucky sapling would bear. It could be said that it was a scene of joy and harmony. They all guaranteed each other's safety. Space armor, soar. Hell, I don't like fancy stuff. Kuan Peng is the strongest. I don't want to hear any explanation. Laughing emoji. Although each devouring seed grew by devouring to level up, they had completely different skill templates. Devouring Battle, May 1st Ultimate Event. However, according to Lu Wu's settings, all the players would be spawned at a random location in this event. There was only the event chat channel. There were no guild, army, region, or squad voice channels that could be used. This made it difficult to organize the players in the server they were in. Kuan Peng. Mimic Devour Skill. Divine Fire Refinement. Devour EXP plus 30%. Devour Speed increased by 10%. Introduction. The form of an endless ancient god. Its body is formed from candlelight. As it continues to devour and evolve, its size will rapidly increase. In its largest form, it will be as large and hot as the sun. However, there were no absolutes in this matter, even though most players thought so at the beginning. Therefore, survival was the most important thing, followed by growth. If one did not survive, everything would be zero. The Candle God's ability was more balanced, but it could create a great advantage in the early stage. This was because it had the fastest growth among the 3 types of devouring seeds. It had a 30% bonus experience. Tianluo Gorilla. Today was the last day of the May 1st event, and also the day when the May 1st Ultimate event would begin. The players of the 3 major servers were huddled under the official event thread to discuss it. At the same time, they were also exchanging harsh words. They wanted to make some noise before the event began. Later on, a powerful assassin player stole more than 100 bottles of Soul Spring water. The sapling he cultivated bore 2 super lucky fruits. One of the super lucky fruits even bore a level 100 epic weapon. This made the players go crazy. Prince Charming 123, Hell, Tianluo Gorilla, is invincible in the universe. I choose this one. Watch me show off my skills and destroy the Chinese pig and European dog. Laughing emoji, Star of the Universe. Europe, Candle God is not bad either. It is more versatile and can level up quickly. In the early stage, it can quickly distance itself from the others. Decisive Candle God. Laughing emoji. Therefore, how to get more Soul Spring water became a problem. Event Hint 3. In addition to the individual ranking, the server ranking will also be added. The participating players who successfully get the first place in the server ranking will receive the special title of Devouring King. Mimic Devouring Skill, Kuan Swallow, Devouring Speed plus 40%, can devour targets 3 levels higher than the user. Event details. This ultimate event will be participated by players from all 3 major servers. The event location will be randomly selected from the land of Beiki, the land of Tsangshu, and the land of Hell. After the event officially begins, the players will need to choose the form they want to mimic. After that, they will enter the battlefield of the land of Devouring and begin the journey of evolution. Mimic introduction. In the north of the ultimate north, there is the Black Sea, also known as the Heavenly Lake. There are fish there spanning thousands of miles. Its name is Kuan. It is so big that it cannot be stewed in a pot. It is an ancient divine beast that can evolve rapidly by devouring. For example, the rock is a devouring seed that can challenge opponents of a higher level. The Tianluo gorilla is the first choice for technical players. It can grab a target, and it can also turn invisible to escape when encountering a strong enemy. The players knew very well that the amount of Soul Spring water they had with them would never increase. It was a fixed output, so it seemed like the only way to obtain more Soul Spring water was to steal from others. Moreover, the players who succeeded in stealing the Soul Spring water kept cultivating the super lucky fruits that were announced in the server. This made many players who were slowly cultivating saplings extremely jealous. More than 49% of the players believed that today's event will be the first cross-server battle in Battle Online. Since the battle in the sinkhole, the May Day event had stirred up a frenzy among the players. Today was already the fourth day. Survival was victory. This great devouring battle was the final event planned by Lu Wu. The competition would inevitably lead to the wilting of countless saplings, which indirectly reduced Lu Wu's expenditure of soul coins. At the same time, the competition could also stimulate the players' desire to increase their strength. Event hint. After the start of this event, all the players who have transformed into their imitated forms will have a unified level of not zero. They can devour other imitated players to level up. The more they devour, the stronger their strength and devouring ability will be. After the event, the level will be converted into points for ranking. In the end, the promise made in the forum seemed like a joke to the players. Most of the players began to steal the Soul Spring water. The three main imitated life forms. This kind of waiting was undoubtedly boring, but the moment they saw the saplings mature and bear fruit, all the suffering became worth it. The feeling of harvest was also a joy that most players in modern society could not experience. The players have been guessing what the final event of the day would be for the first 3 days. There were even players from the three major domains who jointly launched a poll to discuss and guess. At 7 o'clock in the evening, a server announcement was heard. Everything was full of randomness. Event hint 2. Players who participate in this event will have 3 chances to revive. After death, their level will be reduced by 80%, and they will be randomly revived in the event area. In fact, this was what Lu Wu wanted to see. The 3 devouring seeds were designed according to the template given by Bei Li after a discussion between Lu Wu and Bei Li. Many bugs were removed in the design so that the players could compete with each other, and it would be very interesting. On the first day of the May Day event, the final result of the battle with the local players at the Bakey Mansion of the Dead Sinkhole made them very unhappy. They always wanted to win at least once, so at this moment, they were the server that most wanted to start a cross-server war among the 3 major servers. Under the temptation of huge benefits, countless players went against their original promise in the forum and embarked on the path of stealing the Soul Spring water. There was no turning back. Candle God. All these were the problems that Lu Wu had considered before he designed this plowing the day and night event. In order to win, apart from having a certain level of skill and a smart mind, luck was also an extremely important factor. After the official unveiling of the final event, the forums of the 3 major servers were in an uproar. The players who had their Soul Spring water stolen would encounter the crisis of the saplings withering. Under such circumstances, there was no doubt that they were unwilling to give up. In fact, Lu Wu had already made it clear in the trailer that during this event, Roaming Sorcerer, Hell the Candle God, has a great advantage in the early stage. Tianluo Qi won't die easily and can slowly grow. As for Kuan Peng, it is invincible in one-on-one battles of the same level. It has a great advantage in the late stage. What should we choose? It's a dilemma, especially the European server players. In the first 3 days, apart from hunting the soldiers of the Jiuyao army to earn event medals and answering questions at 10 o'clock every night, the watering activity was their daily task. Originally, everyone in the forum said that they would never do immoral things like stealing other people's Soul Spring water, and that harmony was the most important thing. Reinhardt, Europe I thought it would be a cross-server war, but I feel that this is fun. After thinking about it, as a tank, I'll choose Kuan Pong. A man should be tough. Yuanchu's arrogant face. JPG. However, there was a group of players who liked to play with excitement. They felt that it was too troublesome to collect and cultivate the Soul Spring water bit by bit. It would be better to take a shortcut, so they tried to steal other people's Soul Spring water. It would be fine if they failed, but if they succeeded, it would cause a chain of problems. As more and more things were planned in the game, Luwu gradually gained experience and the awareness of being the boss behind the scenes. Now, he could bring benefits to the players while reducing his own expenses. Under normal circumstances, the watering pot could only produce 1 pot of Soul Spring water every hour. In order for the saplings to mature and bear fruit, they had to be watered 10 times. Camouflage introduction. The form of an ancient god in the endless outer realm. It looks like an octopus and has countless void sucker tentacles. In its largest form, it can pluck the stars and swallow the moon. It can rely on devouring to evolve itself. From the player's point of view, they would not blame the behind-the-scenes team for their own losses.